married, but like, are you going to necessarily like, especially as you continue on that journey, are you going to necessarily be able to stay married? I don't know.
And that's where I'm at. So like, I'm gonna give you the most closed-minded answer I got, Liz. Okay. No, fuck no, you can't. Like that's why I stand with that. Okay. Because um, I've seen like because I'm not like in a relationship and then we put do this thing of see like because I'm not like in a relationship and then we put do this thing of projection, I forget that people are in relationships. I'm gonna be honest, or that people are pursuing relationships, right? But I just think it's interesting when I'm having these conversations, like specifically about the patriarchy, right? And the person are like, oh, my husband and I, or like, and I'm like, what the fuck? That shit kind of throws me off, cause it's like, one, you're tying your identity to that person. That's fucking crazy. And then two, it's like, well, don't you realize a lot of dynamics in that relationship that you compromising, you giving labor? Are you understanding that some stuff that you may not even realize at the same time? I don't know. I be struggling with it because I want to be like, maybe it's a conflict with me. Maybe I'm not as open minded as I claim I am. Maybe I'm the
Women who will come into these spaces and then like they cannot help themselves but to mention who will come into these spaces and then like they cannot help themselves but to mention their husband and how not like other men he is and how much of a good guy he is and for X, Y, and Z reasons. And like and my husband's not, and that to me is a major red flag because if you really were about women and like empowerment of women, right? And your identity truly wasn't tied to your husband, you wouldn't women, right? And your identity truly wasn't tied to your husband, you wouldn't be mentioning your proximity to like a so-called good man as like a feminist talking point. Does that make sense? Like to like boost your argument. Like why the fact
yeah,
that you need to
yeah,
legitimize yourself by mentioning it is part of the problem.
yeah. And from my understanding, part of decensoring is to censor yourself, which I can understand. Being in a relationship, decentering is going to be very hard because of the dynamics between relationships between men and women. And there's a lot of ways that you're performing labor, like I said, you don't even realize it. But it's like, how can you truly go in that headspace if you keep thinking, "Oh, my partner isn't doing this"? Oh, you like excusing certain behavior because it's like the the uh the reality is like you're not acknowledging the truth. Like it's uncomfortable acknowledging it. You don't want to.
Right, right. And I don't think yeah, and I don't think that these women's yeah.
The way that this whole love spell works is that you always think
Yeah.
the way that this whole love spell works is that you always think the men who are close proximity are different. It's no different from talking to one of the men and they're like, well, my friend's close to me or the guys I know are not like that. Like it's the same exact thing. So of course, like you have the like we don't guys I know are not like that. Like it's the same exact thing. So of course, like you have the like we don't ever have the same version of somebody as another person does. So it's like if I'm going to see you. I have to see you in a positive light. It's interesting because one of the why is it that exes can be shitty but partners can't? That don't make sense.
Right,
I don't
right.
know if it's glitching. I don't know.
Yeah, I think like yeah, I think like X is because yeah, I mean hindsight's 2020, right? Hindsight's 2020, right? But yeah, so I think if it were to be able to if it were possible, then it would have to be the kind of thing where a woman just didn't understood that this is not like dismantling the patriarchy has nothing to do with
Take the app if it's glitching.
oh okay yeah it's not glitching for me but like he doesn't need to be brought up, he doesn't need to be involved, he doesn't need to like um you know in certain feminist spaces that I go into like there's a rule like we don't care about your husband, we don't care like don't if you want to be here, don't talk about him. Don't, like, he has nothing to do with this. And women get very offended by that because constantly they'll be like, but what if he's a good guy? What if he doesn't matter? This doesn't matter. This is not a space for men. Not a space for men. And this is not a space for you to talk about men. It's not a space for us to revere men. It's not about men. If you want to be here, we don't care. And that's very difficult for some women.
Yeah, because I've been on your Fuck Your Father tour lately, and a lot of like, yeah, because I've been on your Fuck Your Father tour lately, and a lot of like, I've gotten like some women get really upset when I say that. Like, you have this tendency to put your father on a pedestal, and like that's distorting your view of these men. But yeah, like it's weird to bring your husband up, but it also again that's the problem. Or you just trying to like justify what's going on in your life.
I think that's what it is.
Or you just trying to like justify what's going on in your life.
I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is because um it's like you want to legitimize him in your own eyes because you want to be aligned with the values surrounding feminism or surrounding whatever feminist conversation is going on, but you also don't want to give up the life that you have with this person who you've hitched your wagon to. So like how do you square that mentally, and how do you cure the cognitive dissonance that is quite possibly going on in your mind right now? Well, you know you get up there and you talk about how your husband totally agrees with all of this and isn't like that and is disgusted by how men behave. Okay.
Yeah, if your husband is sitting there agreeing with everything you're saying, he's lying. He's just lying. Like,
Yeah.
of course he's gonna be agreeable.
Yep. Mine did that. He claimed to agree with all of these things and he didn't. He's a dick. I fucking hate him. Anyway.
But that's the thing women.
He didn't. He's a dick. I fucking hate him. Anyway.
But that's the thing women need to think about. Like, if we know that red pilling is not as popular as it used to be, right? And a lot of these men with these chauvinistic views, are like learning how to attract women who are more liberal or like more modern or whatever. So why can't your husband be doing the same exact thing? Or your boyfriend or whatever. I just feel like when I left my marriage because I realized I could not grow as a person inside of this relationship. And that was for me to be honest with myself. I had been with this person for a really long time. I never had time to actually be on my own. And like, if I really wanted to grow, I had to, as painful it was at the time, I had to leave this relationship because me growing and becoming a different person is going to conflict with one, what they already been accustomed to, and two, it's going to tap into that insecurity of abandonment, and they're going to sabotage me. And because of the way I'm conditioned, I'm going to constantly find ways to like coddle them and make them feel like, oh, it's okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It definitely does.
Hey, pretty.
Hey, boo. So I definitely think it's glitching because now that I'm in the panel, I hear you guys perfectly.
Oh yeah, that happens sometimes.
So I don't know if that's why like people maybe keep coming in and out because it was.
Hey, listen, TikTok gotta do that thing. If it's glitching, that's on them. I don't know. It's like I got too many problems. I would say update.
It's good up here. Like I'm good now that I'm on the panel. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want it to glitch, join the panel, I guess.
I get it.
I don't like talking to people in the comments anyway. I already know.
Okay.
Hey, Sharice, is it glitching for you?
You said she can hear. Okay.
Did you want to respond to the prompt?
Mm-hmm. And still want to dismantle the patriarchy, because I think your desire does not sometimes align with what is possible. And I think that a lot of people kind of stay at the surface level. I was hearing Liz talk, people kind of stay at the surface level. I was hearing Liz talk, like, if you are encountering a woman who consistently wants to talk about her marriage and then says she's decentered men, I don't think that she's probably still deconstructing. I don't think that that's accurate, because more often than not, you would then become the guy who comes on the panel and says, but I'm a good guy, right? Like you would just become him by proxy. So instead of you being on the panel, it would be your husband being on the panel, but saying, oh, but I'm a good guy. So if you think about it that way, you wouldn't feel a need to talk about your husband ever. Or talk about how good he is, or talk about, or talk about how good he is, or talk about, what he does, or how he's a male feminist, or any of that. You wouldn't feel the need to qualify him, because you in turn would be acting just like if he was on the panel. But I think about this kind of stuff the same way I think about, can you be YT and want to dismantle systemic racism? Can you be a man, or I'm sorry, can you be a man and want to dismantle the patriarchy? Can you be light skinned and want to dismantle the arc of colorism? Like it's all these things where it's like you're always going to say like, is that possible? But then you go ahead.
I'm benefiting from a system and I want to dismantle is one thing, right? But in marriage is one thing, right? But in marriage is actually tied to another person. That's what it's like. Like the idea we have a marriage, like this is supposed to be the closest person you have, like the closest relative you have, right? And the whole what is it? The fucking organization of marriage, right? In itself is patriarchal. And what's a fucking organization of marriage, right? In itself is patriarchal and was an invention of patriarchy. That's one. Two, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not just like, oh, if it's a good guy or not. I'm talking about they was told, hey, you need to sacrifice yourself. You need to do these things to take care of your husband and your family, just to make you a good wife. It don't matter if you reject it or actually trying to reject it. That's been the message you've been getting from a young age. On the other end, hey, you're supposed to be the head of household. You can find a woman that's age. On the other end, hey, you're supposed to be the head of household. You can find a woman that submit. You do all the things. She's supposed to do all these things. You take. How do you rationalize that? Because yeah, I could say, because even when if a white person said they want to dismantle racism, but they don't want to sacrifice resources, then you're not really doing it. If you are colorist and you're still taking benefits from people, a light-skinned person, you still taking opportunities away from dark-skinned women, yeah, that's gonna be a problem, right? Yeah, there's some sacrifice there, but the only difference with this one is it's another person. We're not talking about resources. We're not talking about like beliefs. We're not patriarchal in itself.
Yeah, and I think like marriage is not an is
Can I respond to that? I'll go after you, Liz.
Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, I think about marriage.
Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, I think about marriage. When you think about it in the way of gender roles, I'm in this union, he should do this, I should do this. And as a woman, it is my role, ... As a man, it is his role, ... You would be hard woman, it is my role, ... As a man, it is his role, ... You would be hard pressed to say, I want to dismantle the patriarchy. But if you look at your partnership as if you'd look at a friendship, as if you look at your relationship with your sister, as if you look at any commune you would have with women, I have that honor when it comes to like, this is my husband, right? This is a person I literally want to be in my house for the rest of my life because he's fun as hell and I enjoy the company, right? Like that's always been my approach, right? And that's why whenever you even think about, always been my approach, right? And that's why whenever you even think, understands, as important as you are, my friends are, my family is, my, all these people around me who creates what is this whole in my life, and you're part of that whole. So that is, if that is not your approach, if your mindset is to gender role the heck out of your relationship, which gender role is an arbitrary one for me. Gender role is an arbitrary one for me because I think you can still want certain gender roles just for your own convenience. But I think that like if that is your approach to marriage, which is the roles, and as a woman and as a man, we would do a commune of women, a commune of family, a multi-generational household. We would do a commune of women, a commune of family, a multi-generational household, a village, that same kind of mindset.
I don't know, just part of the another side of it also is that like in a marriage, right? You're kind of getting pulled towards one person. Like the idea of like branching off to other people. I get like your family and friends, whatever, but a lot of times like women become isolated and it becomes like your family and friends, whatever. But a lot of times like women become isolated and it becomes about the family. And our society is about the nuclear family, right? It's no longer about like your journey or when it comes to like building community with others, branching out, seeing like different ways. Even and like for me, look, I even see like monogamy is an issue. Like I think monogamy punishes women. It doesn't punish men. Monogamy punishes women because one, men lie about it, and two, there's like the when it comes to like heterosexual relationships, men start working a lot faster than women do, and it's like I don't know. So I'm like I said, I was brainstorming at the same time, but I just
Ooh, that's a good point.
it sounds good. It looks a certain way, but in practice, it always ends the same way every time. Like it, and then like I'm not focused. I'm not focused. Even when you talk about like children inside of marriage, who becomes the primary caregiver? So instead of you having a community of other women who can support you, right? I don't necessarily trust men. So I don't necessarily trust men. So I would say other women where it would lighten your load. You're with this man who's going to try to get out of doing as much as possible. Or if he's helping out, it's never going to be the same.
Right. Yeah. I think because if we're going to compare it to any dismantled capitalism and still like own a business and like be participating in it and not in like all way, but like in such a way where like you're towards the top of the system. Um that like yeah, I mean I don't know, but like um but yeah, I will just say because the and those types but yeah, I will just say because those types of relationships where it truly is like a partner. I mean, it could seem like that at first. I think that long-standing relationships like that are extremely rare. I have yet to even encounter a person who is in one, to be honest. I have a friend who is like almost there, maybe the closest thing that I could imagine to it, but even he sucks sometimes. So, um, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, because if you look at like propaganda, right? Propaganda has a substantial impact on the way we behave. Like even if you're the most progressive, like we're going to be careful about how we split the do. I'm thinking about the person's personal journey. It's still going to be imbalance when it comes to the labor that's performed. It's still going to be an imbalance when it comes to who sacrifices their identity form. It's still going to be an imbalance when it comes to who sacrifices their identity for the other person. Like we see it time and time again. It's going to be a sacrifice in who loses friends in connection to that community versus the other person. And when it comes to those things, it's always in the long term the woman who sacrifices her identity, the woman who sacrifices her community, the woman who sacrifices her own journey and growth for that man, because it's like we're not just dealing with the messaging that we was conditioned from a young age for that man, because it's like we're not just dealing with the messaging that we was conditioned from a young age, but we're dealing with the message that we are consuming on a daily basis.
right. Yeah, absolutely. And like I will just say that I thought that I was with somebody who was was very much in line with me, and like no, and like I'm not even gonna say what's been happening the past few days. And we're separating for good next month. I'm counting down the freaking days. It is like so the opposite of that I can't, like the most opposite that you could possibly think of. of somebody who is in line with any sort of feminist value. So yeah, I don't think that we can trust what these men say. I think that they're bullshitting us most of the
Let me
time.
go back to what I said about how exes can be bad, but partners can't, right? There was
Yeah.
at one point, Liz, when this guy you was married to, and listen, I was married too. I absolutely was that guy.
Yeah.
Like, he was absolutely that guy. Do you think that this person you're dealing with now is a different person?
No. It's the same person.
I don't know why I'm cutting out, y'all. Shit. That's all I'm saying. And because the reality is, like, we all gonna make mistakes. We all gonna fuck up, whether you're in a relationship or not. I'm just saying, like, the two are it's a contradiction. As simple as that. You can't be dismantling and come to terms with the reality of how men are conditioned and how little they think of women, and then lay down with this man and say, oh, this man is different. You're just not. If you don't believe, go talk to his ex, because that's the way they work.
Right.
Yeah, I said when I first started, I'm working on a project.
Yeah, like,
And I needed to talk through this because I'm closed-minded when it comes to this. I'm like, fuck no. And I'm trying to, like, see different parts of it.
yeah, I mean, well, I appreciate it. Like, a lot of times we make prompts, we're like, no, I'm stuck on this side and this is how the line's gonna end. I'll be on this side forever. But I think in this way, it's also jarring to people who are currently in the situation, right? Um, and you're like, can I? Am I? Um, and you're like, can I? Am I? And those are questions like you should consistently be asking yourself. And I genuinely believe that if you remain curious and inquisitive about your own deconstruction all the time, like consistently, I think deconstruction all the time, like consistently, I think that's what's going to make it possible more than anything, rather than thinking, I have the answer. Like, and saying, I know it because I do this and he's this way. And the other day, like, he came to me about Adriana Smith and he sent me an article and this happened and that happened and this means he's a good guy. Like, to consistently remain inquisitive, to consistently, like, even yesterday when I was on a panel and Dex came up and somebody was like, "Oh, Dex is one of the good ones," and I was like, "Honestly, Dex, I don't know. I got trust issues, so I'm looking at everything
Oh, Dex, when Dex come over here, Dex already know. I tell Dex, I'm like, not it's all y'all niggas, and
exactly.
no. Dex knows he's a case study just like the rest of them. He said he respected, but I don't think we should deem any man safe. That's like it's been too many men who have been exposed for pandering, lying, get like using the same tactics that the pastor used to get money out of women, for us to be like, oh, this is one of the good ones. That's not the goal. For me, I see man as a tool to have a better, because the good ones usually are covert.
Yep.
I agree.
And if he got a problem with me saying that, then he just exposed himself. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah, and I feel like men, there's just like a major block with like men being self-aware. Like, I don't know, I especially through, like, because I'm not a man but I am white, right? And like that has like that area of deconstruction has really like cured a lot of the sympathy that I have for men. Like, I'm trying to understand as a white person, like, the effort is there. I don't see that same effort from men by and large. So what's the problem?
So that's tied to how they're socialized, right? So like when we talk about how, like, when it comes to the emotional intelligence of young boys, and at the same time, even if they come from a family where the family's like, no, it's okay to show emotion, we'll support you. They, like, They still want to have. They come from a family where the family's like, no, it's okay to show emotion. We'll support you. They still want to have that they on a subtle way enforce those stereotypes. And then when it comes to their peers definitely not gonna be hearing that shit. That's gonna cause problems. So you see it like that ability to have self-awareness is tied to your emotional intelligence. And if men by design of society have an emotional delay, that's gonna be an issue. Now remember, that's in place so that men can go to war. Right? Like in order for men to go to war and essentially dehumanize the person that they are going to be fighting against and go into a village and take orders and do the most fucking horrendous shit, they have to be able to like disassociate. So that's part of the reason why they're socialized like that. So yeah, when it comes to self-awareness, it's severely lacking. It's going to be. What's up, Sharice?
Hey, good morning,
She said
y'all.
the same thing I said. She's like, this is not
Listen, I know
like
this gonna be a raggedy live.
I was like, let me come up so that I can get through the live. I am also going to add to the conversation. So for me, as a woman who's constantly deconstructing from the patriarchy and attempting to dismantle it because I have a son and all these different things, I feel like we all participate in it somehow. So I'm having problems, I guess, seeing fully how a woman who is married cannot, how me and a woman who's married are any different. I'm deconstructing in different ways, and there's still pieces of the patriarchy that I kind of participate in. So I don't know, I guess I'm asking, how would that be any different?
So I'm gonna speak on the son thing, right? Because I have a son. So I'm gonna speak on the son thing, right? Because I have a son. He's absolutely misogynistic. He's always gonna be misogynistic. Ain't nothing he can do about it. And once he like once you try to get away from these labels, performing, that's a narcissistic trait. But at the end of the day, it's like the reason why it's important for him to realize he's misogynistic is so that like when somebody brings some of his attention, he won't be on the defensive. He like, oh shit, yeah. And he needs to understand that that's gonna be a constant battle. It's never gonna be completely not misogynistic. Ain't gonna be problematic because of it. And it's like, I'm not saying he's safe and everybody not. No, he part of the system too. Can you educate? Yeah. For children, yeah, I would hope that this generations go on that we could do a better job at it. But unfortunately,
I think I'm like, we're all, I guess, maneuvering.
so it's hopeless for us.
I think I'm like, we're all, I guess, maneuvering.
So it's
The
hopeless
best that
for
we
us
can
all.
do is be critically aware, or critical and aware, self-aware, and be able to constantly criticize the patriarchy and constantly speak out, having a commitment to wanting to change. And I don't know how to do it any better than that. Like, I don't know how to. I mean, I'm navigating spaces to make sure that I can constantly check myself and have some checks and balances going on. But I don't know how to do it any better than that. So I don't know if I could say it for a married woman that she's not better than that. So I don't know if I could say it for a married woman that she's not doing it at all, or she can't be doing it as good as me.
I just invited somebody by accident. But yeah, and I think it's first of all, it's like it doesn't matter who done it's I think that's the wrong idea to think somebody doing something with a way of like anything a competition. And more of like our intention. What is the reason for dismantling? What's the reason for you wanting to deconstruct in the first place? Because like I said, we were talking about this on TikTok the other day where like there's a thing where you have pick me feminism. You have women who are in feminine spaces, and this is what I had to learn the hard way. I used to give women grace in these spaces, and I learned like, hold up, something ain't right. There are a lot of women, unfortunately, who are in feminine spaces who are there for male validation. So it's like it's your intention for being there, and accepting is gonna look different for everyone. It's your intention for being there, and accepting is gonna look different for everyone. And again, what's the goal? Like maybe your goal is not to deconstruct every goddamn thing. Fucking introspection and metacognition could be a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I don't want to deconstruct taking out the trash. It's not gonna happen. So I think that is like, yes, baby. Okay. Give me a second.
No.
I didn't hear. I didn't hear that much. Don't want to deconstruct. I didn't hear. I didn't hear that much. Don't want to deconstruct what?
I was gonna ask her, but then she left. I'll ask her when she come back. Sharice, you say you noticed it too. What have you noticed?
I noticed that there has been women that I can tell that it's still for male validation in some way. There's a lot of odd things that I've seen where I'm like, okay, well, you know, what was that about? Also like still kind of putting a man up on some type of pedestal. Like a woman can say the same exact thing, but then a man comes in and says it, and now all of a sudden he is just, oh my gosh, wow, groundbreaking thoughts and things like that. So I don't know. I'm like we're saying these same things. What makes him so special?
And then like that's dangerous too, because if we know that how the male ego is, once you start giving them validation like that, it makes them worse. Like, can you imagine if your partner spent time online, like talking about these topics, and now they think they are expert? How damaging that is in a relationship.
Yes, the
Like you
manipulation.
can't say shit to him. He already know. Like,
It reminds me of my thoughts that I have for men who study psychology and how they're able to use that against women versus using it to be better people.
yeah, and that's why I said there's no such thing as wanting to be a better person. It's not a reality. And I think as a woman, my goal has never been to be a better person. When people say to be a better person, they're more worried about the way it looks instead of actually doing the work. Because of self preservation, when it comes to my survival, I'm going to act accordingly, and that's anybody. That's how that works. And I think when we're not honest about that, it just set us up for failure. Um, but Pretty, you back yet?
Yes, so
You
sorry.
didn't hear what you
Go ahead.
said. What you say? You
No,
said
because listen, my daughter wanted me to erase the whiteboard with her, and I was like, okay, girl. Anyway, yeah, whiteboard with her, and I was like, okay, girl. Anyway, yeah. So I was saying like what I liked Sharice's point where she said like the or you when you said introspection, right? Like there's some things that if you're like, hey, if we can't win this game, right, at deconstruction, then I want to benefit from this part. And I'm okay with saying that I'm going to willingly benefit from this part of it because it's the only part that benefits me as a woman, right? And and I can remain cognizant of that thing that I'm benefiting from, so that if push comes to shove, and we're actually going to be deconstructing, then I understand I will lose that convenience, right? And when I say convenience, I do mean small, menial,
can you give an
remedial,
example of the
pointless things. Like
convenience?
it's a really stupid thing. That's why I said I don't want to deconstruct from taking out the trash. Like literally, like I'm saying that to be facetious, but that's as remedial as it is. Like it's not you're not really benefiting from something, but there's these small little things that, for example, I'll tell anybody, don't ever watch a dude's pockets on a date. Like if you're a woman, right? Don't try to be that good person who's like, oh, like equality. What if he's no, absolutely not. Because when they can benefit from something, benefit, do it. Like
Yeah,
you can really go ahead.
I don't even think paying for the date because I know that's like a topic. Like I don't even think paying for the date because I know that's like a topic. Like oh, he pays for the date and I will go half and that's fair. No, the thing about why you're there again, like his intention is to take something from you,
Hmm.
and like even you sitting there talking to him and entertaining the bullshit to take something from you.
Hmm.
And like even you sitting there talking to him and entertaining the bullshit, it's fucking labor. So
That's true.
anything he's paying is compensating for you. It's not he ain't doing shit.
But I think like to the point of y'all talking about like feminist pick-me's, I think that's real validation in some of these spaces. They don't come to my space because I've specifically said they're not going to get validation here. Like the spaces, they don't come to my space because I've specifically said they're not going to get validation here. Like the good guys, quote unquote. They don't come to my space and they don't come on my panels because I realize I'm like, it's kind of funny. You go to certain spaces where they're giving you all this validation and saying, oh my God, like this is the guy, but then you'll kind of hang out in the comments and you won't request off like in my space because it is, and in a lot of like I don't see them in your space either, because I'm like, it seems as though when you don't get a bunch of women saying, oh my God, look, like he's one of the good ones, look at him, you don't go to that space. So it just
Yeah.
lets you know the ego is why they're there. And a lot of you don't go to that space. So it just
Yeah.
lets you know the ego is why they're there. And a lot of times as a woman, if we're not able to pick up on that, then we're going to end up perpetuating the exact same thing.
Yeah, so like I chase them away, not on purpose. Sometimes it's like the traditional thing. Like if we criticize red pillars for censoring themselves, then guess what? If the good guy is censoring himself, or meaning you know his
Yes.
relationship status is, you know
Yes.
his resume, I don't give a fuck
Oh
who
my
you
God. Yes.
or
Oh,
hold up,
There was
he
one on Bree's
hogging
panel
he
yesterday.
hogging the fucking mic. Cause they love to hog the fucking mic. Like they talk too long, they talk too slow. Like that's annoying. They want to argue with the other men. They want to save you. The superhero trope. It's one man on here. He gets put on the pedestal a lot, right? That man got 5 fucking kids. Pedestal a lot, right? That man got 5 fucking kids. That man got that. Like I hear women always like, "Oh my God, you're so like, oh, you're amazing," all this stuff, and he loves it. First of all, he got 5 fucking kids, all this stuff, and he loves it. First of all, he got 5 fucking kids. Who the fuck do you think is taking kids while he spent hours on TikTok? You making noises, and he ain't getting validation from women. Let his wife tell that story. I'm just saying, like, and he ain't getting validation from women. Let his wife tell that story. I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying it's obvious if you look at it a certain way, but because we share the space with like some people are just talking. And from I've learned from me even just speaking that out, I have a lot of enemies, and I'm fine with that because I run my mouth and I love to run my mouth. But the reality is like it's not as pure as it looks from the outside. And the longer you spend in these spaces, you start picking up on it.
Yeah, there was literally one on on a panel yesterday. He's a new one. He's not notorious. But he came up and initially was saying the good things, and then eventually he got found out and he got flamed really bad. When I tell you this man literally unmuted crying. Really bad when I tell you this man literally unmuted crying. I was like, I just can't believe that you guys would say these things. And we're like, are you freaking kidding me right now? So as soon as you get a little bit of pushback to say, hey, you haven't deconstructed as far as you think you have. You think you're at one of the panelists literally said, she's like, you think you're at 75% and you may be at like 12. And he unmuted.
Oh, that nigga, and they use it against women. If that's what I said, like when it go back to the topic, like my husband, like I be on your ass every fucking day. Like, why you say that? But what about this? Well, I'm about to go for like, why you got a problem with that? Like, I would be testing that shit all the time instead of validating. Because like, if he not admitting that shit in him, then like, I don't know. Then like, I don't know. Cause these motherfuckers don't want to they don't want to admit that it's in them.
I think that's the first sign for me, like how they're willing to admit that and come forward. And I think that's what made me listen to the man on Pretty's panel because he was like, well, I'll be the first to tell you that I ain't shit. But then he went on a tangent after saying he ain't shit to tell us how he isn't shit. And that was like, okay, well, now that you told us how you did your wife, sir, no one wants to hear from you anymore. And yeah, I think that the plot was that we would, I guess, feel bad for him or feel like, oh, okay, you overcame that. And instead, people were like, hell no. And so he started crying and all the things. But my point is that usually, if they can admit to being not shit, I'll give them an ear.
No, don't give me an ear for that, because here's the thing. Women are talking about their problems, censoring your fucking problems and what you're going through. What the fuck does that have to do with us? No, you don't get no ear. You're here to learn and help us expose some shit. Or what the fuck are you here for?
Well, that makes sense too. Having the conversation with them at all, for the ones who are not like over misogynist, I think is an important discourse. So I just, there has to be a way to navigate having those conversations, at least for the people who want to do it in their spaces.
I was having this conversation yesterday. I was having this conversation yesterday on someone's panel where they said, can men be real allies? And I've talked about that before, and at this point I've approached the fact that, especially as Black women, we have a really strong tie and a need for authenticity, which is great sometimes, but then other times it traps us in being able to capitalize on benefits without the need for their intentions to be true. And I think that if we frame our mindsets that way, and we say, hey, you know what, like, I don't want authenticity, because when you prove me right and when you expose yourself, I'll be the one up because I've gotten what I needed and I didn't give you the validation that you sought. So that's kind of how I approach a lot of these quote like allyship conversations. And but when you think about the relationship aspect, right? If as a partner, you should be focused on loving the humanity in a person. And that's the thing, right? Like I would be more focused on loving the humanity in my husband rather than the man in my husband. And once I realized that, I think that's a good path, because it would be similar to me loving a friend, like a female friend that I love dearly, my mom, my sisters, anybody else that I truly value their companionship, their company, their presence in my circle and in my village. I approach it the same way. And that's with the understanding that they will be flawed. They will be flawed in any capacity. And a lot of times, unfortunately, we get it from all ends as women. Like so the same way that I could find out that my husband's dangerous, the same way I could find out that my best friend who's here all the time is also dangerous. But I think like I approach these relationships from a human aspect, and I value companionship with humans. So I think that's kind of like the approach that I take personally. I know y'all didn't ask for my personals, but that's the approach I take personally.
No, I think like I said, it's gonna look different for different people. No, I think like I said, it's gonna look different for different people. My question would be to any of y'all, like, why do y'all think, besides men trying to come to these spaces and essentially make money off of women, or trying to like find some women inboxes to come into, why do y'all think these men come to our spaces and just pretend to be something else just for us to like tell them, give them an attaboy? Why do y'all think they do that?
I think they need the validation, and I also think that they want some sort of challenge out of having these conversations with us and getting that prize at the end of saying, "Yeah, you did good."
Now, when you said validation, what type of validation you think they're seeking?
I think they're seeking. Um, I don't know, just like an accomplishment type of validation, like um,
That's a
Could
good
it?
question. Um, when I
Anybody
think
else?
when I think about the kind of validation they might be seeking, it reminds me of like I'm sorry, this is gonna sound stupid. Literally like a Boy Scout badge. Like, look at me, I got my ally badge. Like these women, they trust me. Like I'm this good person, and I don't think they're going this deep in it, but if I'm thinking about the rationale on my side, I don't think they're going this deep in it, but if I'm thinking about the rationale on my side, is that studies show that conservative men are very unattractive to women, right? Like, even though they think they are the alphas, like young women aren't going for that mindset. And so it would actually benefit a lot of these men to learn some of these talking points, just like when they go to therapy. Actually benefit a lot of these men to learn some of these talking points, just like when they go to therapy, right? Like a lot of times when a dude tells me he goes to therapy, it's a red flag for me now. I don't know why, but it is. And the reason why is because they take the talking points they learn from therapy, right? Like, oh, learned helplessness, and projection, and they just start using these words that their therapist taught them. And now all of a sudden, a lot of women are like, oh, look at him, he knows things, he's read something. Like, and I think a lot of times that's also the benefit. Like, they're going to be engaging in conversations that will expand their brain span in a space that they're trying to get into, and they'll act as though their reason for getting into these spaces are platonic, but then they'll use the information for them would give them access to the types of women that they can't get online in these spaces.
Do you think that's a new thing?
They can't get online in these spaces.
Do you think that's a new thing?
No. I think men have always done that in some capacity. Like, men do a good job sometimes of othering themselves. Like, you always had like the ladies' man versus the guys' guy, right? Like, you think about the Usher versus the 50 Cent. Um, you've kind of always had that dynamic, but neither one of them have been really good. Neither one of them actually really cared about women. They just kind of played good cop, bad cop, in my opinion.
Anybody else want to answer that question? No, nobody else want to say nothing.
Do you think that it's something else, Tara, that we missing?
I ain't got all the answers.
I'm
I
just
will
trying to pick
say
your brain.
I agree with Pretty when she said like it's practice. It's
Yeah.
definitely practice. Whether he's in a relationship, like we know that it's normalized for men to like look for women on the side, right? Like if a man says to like look for women on the side, right? Like if a man says to me, "Oh, I've been married for 20 years," well, of course you want me in these conversations because you're trying to stay relevant. I believe that it's also a way, like I said before, men are trying to find somebody to date online, somebody inbox to get in online. They're trying to like have one up on other women. Like for a lot of men, manipulation is their craft. Like manipulation is their craft. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna go, and they get off on the fact that, oh, I can go around these women who say they're talking about this such thing, and look, they can't even detect me. So what are they actually talking about? Like men's are conditioned to like want to dominate women. So I can see that also. I think there's a lot of different reasons why they do it. Do I think that they're there to actually move the conversation along? Not at all. I think they have their selfish reasons for being on those conversations. Because, like I said, if I want to learn about a topic from experience that I don't have, I'm going to go find people having that conversation and I'm going to listen. I'm not going to require them to do any labor. I'm not going to try to insert myself into the conversation. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to do something in the background and I'm just going to listen to the conversation.
Yeah, that makes sense. But a lot of the times, those conversations start with that it feels like a community conversation from the prompt or something. So that's why they're even there, I guess.
But what do you think they want to do in the community? But what do you think they want to do in the community though?
Nah, bro. There's sometimes them prompts be not about them in any capacity. Still.
And the
No,
thing
not in
is,
your space at all.
Okay.
It's never
so
about them.
here's the thing: the less you want them in your space, the more they want to be in your space. The less you like want them to be there, the more they want to be there. And of course, you got these. We was talk about like how we send to black men in the black community, and even when it comes to like our historical leaders.
Oh, how was that convo?
It's on Mia's live. I mean her YouTube. It went good.
Okay.
One of the things we was conversation we having on the back end is like, what happens is you have these groups. And it's like, what happens is you have these groups of people, right? These women, because women have this tendency of bringing a community together. And then you have men who can join that community, but it's never like you have the man who stake his claim, like he's the leader. You might have the second command, a few supporters, but a lot of men will look at that and be like, oh, I'm not going over there. He's already marked the territory. So sometimes in some of the spaces, you might have a man who frequents a space, and he knows you might have a man who frequents a space, and he knows he's seen as a friendly, and he's like marking his territory. Even when Dex come up here, I be telling Dex all the time, like, Dex, you be chasing the hoes away. Because like other men, unless they want to argue with him directly, they don't want to be like they want to be seen as a good guy. They don't want to compete. Y'all know George weird ass. He like competes with Dex and is very interesting because he a fucking outcast. But it's just that behavior. So like it's just interesting to see how many men online are literally trying to mark territory in women's spaces.
Oh my gosh. Yo, I'm thinking about it, and there are like between all the spaces I frequent, there are like,
The resident man.
yes, bro. I'm thinking about it.
Because my question to them is, why is it that, and I've had this conversation with them a lot, not as much recently, but why is it that y'all can't have your own space? Why do you not see a collective of men coming together and holding these spaces and talking about their own issues? Why is everything when we talk about these spaces in front of what the woman is, and y'all not giving us insight to the male's perspective, the insidious side of it, not the some bullshit we done already said, right? Because they're like, men don't like each other. They will circle jerk. They will support each other. They will cover for each other because of their ego, and their identity of being a man is tied to that. I have to support that man because I have to uphold men, put men on a pedestal because I'm trying to be that man. And if he fall, then I fall. That's why they do that. But men on a pedestal because I'm trying to be that man. And if he fall, then I fall. That's why they do that. But you notice once the men mark that territory, the other men just gone. And when they come to the space and he's there, who they come argue with?
The women.
Are you sure?
I feel like they argue with the women back and forth, but more often than not, they're still trying to argue with the women while the resident man is trying to argue with them, and then they crash out and leave.
Is it possible that they starting with the women to get the man's attention though? Is it possible that they starting with the women to get the man's attention though?
I mean, anything is possible. Anything is possible.
I've seen I have men who they argue, but we've had like I don't know if y'all ever seen the men come argue. They will argue like it's arguments that went past.
You set that up. No, you set that up perfectly. Like when you have, I'm sorry, when you have the circle jerk in progress.
So it's either a circle jerk or
and
they're
you have to let them
fighting.
fight. Yeah, you have to let them fight.
Either a circle jerk or
And
if
then you
they're
have to let them
fighting,
fight. Yeah, you have to let them fight.
this is the interesting thing. They will keep fighting, and I think they be waiting for somebody to jump in. Dr. Julio, and like 90 minutes. Julio had to drop for some reason. That motherfucker came back afterwards. Like, a lot of men are not getting the conflict because women are there to stop them. 90 minutes back and forth saying a bunch of nothing is fucking crazy.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry, like I think that was one of those that panel, that was a panel where like I think that was one of those that panel, that was a panel where like it was probably like a cool 15 minutes that Tara let them just go back and forth.
And so if you see them arguing, what do you hear them saying when they argue too?
Oh my god. I mean, rarely is it ever of value. It's usually them emasculating each other, and then they cry about like women emasculating them.
I got more money than you. I got more women than you. My dick is bigger. My dick is bigger. My dick is bigger. Like, yo, what the fuck is this? They like animals in the wild, fighting over the group of women. I think it's interesting. I could sit there and watch that shit for hours, to be honest.
Well, you did. You did. The level of patience that this takes, I'm in awe because I was cackling.
I feel like we had a conversation that was similar to how the Black community centers men when we were to how the Black community centers men when we were saying that we were having a conversation about what was that? Who protects Black women? Focus on how we actually only protect. Focus on how we actually only protect Black men and how the Black community centers them. In a way, the conversation turned there.
100%. I mean, you think about right now, like, listen, I can't get on camera because my eyes are so puffy because of this whole Adriana Smith situation, right? Like, I'm like torn up about it. And I think like I just sat back and I watched the difference between her situation. She had in total, I think, 12 news articles about her over the last over 100 days. And Black women said we'd be resting. And I understand it's a child. I get it. But still. Out in droves, right? Like just the amount of conversation and traction about this kid, and he's still alive, right? And this woman is like, the way I equated what happened to her was if, yeah, sure, we cried about 8 minutes and 46 seconds that George Floyd, that knee was on his neck, but it's as if that knee was on her neck for 100 days, right? And nobody talks about it. And I just like, in these moments, I literally, and I told my husband this, I was like, you are not going to catch me saying jack squat about anything that happens to a Black man from here on out, ever. This is unbelievable.
Because here's the thing about that. Like, yeah, we all like, oh, police brutality, right? Because police brutality, like, per capita is a Black man issue, right? When it comes like,
it happens to Black women
the
too.
arguments I've heard was like, oh, Breonna Taylor, whatever. No, they happen to get lumped in. If it wasn't already a Black man issue, them women we wouldn't know who the fuck they are. The interesting thing, Black man issues, them women we wouldn't know who the fuck they are. The interesting thing is these men don't know shit, to talk about what you just talked about, Pretty. They don't know shit about reproductive rights. They don't know shit about the rights that we losing, that we need to fight for. They don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about femicide. They don't give a fuck about DV. They don't give a fuck about SA. These niggas ain't sitting around talking about consent. They ain't talking about none of that shit. But everything tied to the Black man. And it's interesting because what's that argument? to fix told because you know society treats you like shit and you want to treat women like fucking breeders. Told because you know society treats you like shit and you want to treat women like fucking breeders. And the reason why women can't focus on children when men around, because in nature, if you look at a lot of species in nature, the mothers are taking care of the offspring together. The males are kicked the fuck out because guess what? They want to come in and siphon all males are kicked the fuck out because guess what? They want to come in and siphon all your fucking energy. You can't even focus on your baby. How many men get jealous when babies come in the period? Like they like, oh, I'm the disciplinarian. No, you want to yell at my kids and tell them to go in their room so that you can get me in your fucking face. Like that's what that is. You like, and it's important that women realize that, like, because the men they don't give a fuck about them kids. Because if you're talking about who's protecting children, look who's raising the kids. You got men in mass running off, not taking care of kids, even when they're in a household. They ain't taking care of the fucking kids. But women are sacrificing their fucking life to take care of children, even when the man runs off. Coconut, I know that was an accident. My bad, y'all. I was on the road. Coconut threw me off. Coconut, you want to say something?
No, I'm good. I just came up because the live was glitching for me.
Oh, you
That's
can sit on the panel then, because I ain't gonna do nothing about it.
Coconut, can you I've never seen you on a panel.
She don't come on the panel.
Oh, okay. Well, hey.
Hey, good morning, girl.
You can sit on the panel.
okay. Thanks.
I wanted to backtrack a little bit to Tara, to what you said about how police brutality is really a black male issue. And it's really sad because it's actually not. Like, black women are losing their lives from police brutality as well. And we just don't hear about these stories. They're just not the mainstream narrative. We are centering black men to that degree, to the point where we don't even think that police brutality is our issue too.
No.
There's-
That's not what I'm saying. I
Okay.
said per capita is very important. That's why I said per capita.
Okay.
When we compare police brutality to reproductive rights, femicide, domestic violence, and sexual assault, there's no comparison. What I'm saying is, if we centered the issues of black people, then we would have those issues will also come up. They don't come up. Not that black women are impacted by police brutality, because we are, but the reason why we focus on it is because black men are impacted about that. That's an issue that impacts them, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true, because you just named a few more, like medical racism. You named DV, femicide. All those things are like at the top of our priority list when it comes to what we should be fighting for.
And it's also similar with mass incarceration and with the school to prison pipeline, right? Like when you break down and you talk about ISS and like in school suspensions and detention, black boys and black girls have the same rates, right? But because it affects black boys, then it's painted as a black boy issue, right? Like similar to similar to police brutality, because it affects them in any way. That is a community issue, even though the situations that affect black women are twofold, threefold when it comes to us actually losing our lives.
That's true. It has to affect them much more than it affects us, or at the same rate at least. I can't even really say the same rate, because doesn't medical racism affect them as well? Well, not at the same rate now. So it has
You
to
talking about
affect
men?
them.
You talking about men who don't prioritize going to the doctors is crazy. No, it don't matter if
I'm talking
it is.
about misdiagnosis and not diagnosing them on time with certain things, like what is it, heart disease, diabetes, things like that.
No, they too busy calling us fat bitches, so I don't know.
Yeah, and all our stats are
I heard more
trending.
men call me a fat bitch than I ever heard them talk about cardiovascular health. So I don't know.
I need to
That's all
see how
that.
many of them are getting unalived by wigs and weaves, because that must be like a huge number. Like, because they talk about that shit all the time. Like, that's the worst thing to ever happen to the black
About
community.
That's their favorite thing to talk about.
That's because they some haters, because their hairlines be going. These men be real insecure about their fucking hairlines. That shit is crazy. Like them niggas, anything that shows that they're Asian and like they like because they want to feel like they age like fine wine. Like no, your hairline is pushed back, your penis flaccid, and you is not giving what you think is giving. That's why you got these men hooked on fucking blue pills to go to the gym. All these motherfuckers in the gym all of a sudden trying to stay young. So your heart gonna give out on you. You think he gonna stop doing roids? If he gotta sacrifice his heart or his arms if he gotta sacrifice his heart or his arms gonna win every fucking time. Just saying.
No, that's definitely true. Them hairlines, man. I know they insecure about it. I would be too.
And I seen some of y'all need to be honest to these men. I know I'm thinking of two men specifically who have very large followings. And their headlines are fucking atrocious. Y'all be telling them men they fine, and I'm mad at y'all for that. Because how is that acceptable?
I'll be telling none of these men.
And one of them motherfuckers got the nerve to put that shit in a ponytail. So cut that shit off.
Oh my god, I cannot. I cannot.
Telling them they fine is insane, crazy work. Because that's not my ministry.
Yeah, because I did a live about like these men need to accept they ugly too. Because I did I did a video on my main account about submission, and I had so many men who responded to that video. And the amount of men who told me that I was unwanted, they mad because I'm mad because I got a man, and the way they fucking look, y'all. Let me find this fucking picture. Y'all going?
Oh, I think I seen a couple of them before I was on your live. When you showed a man that looked like
This is one.
Lord Jesus.
This man told me that I'm just mad because I'm unwanted. This man. And hold on, it's a bunch of them, but this one right.
Wait. You
Look at the
put
glasses,
real
pretty.
people in your prompts?
No. This man with this skin told me I'm mad because don't no man want me. What the is you for real? This man
They be so serious.
This man need a exfoliator.
They be so serious.
This man need a exfoliator and a fucking dermatologist. And he got the nerve to tell me he made he went back and deleted. I'm mad. He had the nerve to open his camera, look at himself. This motherfucker must have been using a back camera and tell me I'm just mad. And yes, I do. I will put these niggas in my background because fuck
That
you.
is fucking hysterical. I can't. I'm done. Like, what would I do if I flew? And it's not even like you just took a picture. You gonna put words on top of it and like fix the color and make it look. I can't. I'm done.
So when y'all be telling these niggas they fine, this is the problem. You got these ugly niggas thinking that they got to.
Oh, see, no, I'm othering myself because I have not. There's no chance.
Don't censor yourself right now. I'm just saying.
Othering myself for sure.
I'm not like the other girl.
Othering myself for sure.
I'm not like the other girl.
I'm not like the other girls. It's crazy.
I'm not like the other girl. Oh my god, I cannot.
I don't know. But anyway, like I don't say nobody's name because they be mad when I say the names, but y'all know who I'm talking about. Y'all see the motherfuckers all the time. And y'all need to and I think it's interesting that like the church is losing like there's a lot of black women leaving the church, but finding like there's a lot of black women leaving the church, but finding the pastors online. That shit is crazy. Cause that nigga think he a pastor and he's spitting. No, you not. You clocking grandiose behavior. Clock these fucking coverts. And then maybe we can have a conversation. But come on now. Be for real. Anyway.
Having dismantling, deconstructing conversations, because some women genuinely may not understand what to even look for when it comes to something or some like someone who's covert. Or am I giving too much grace in the area? Because I feel like a lot of women just don't even know what they're looking for or what the signs are there.
I don't think you're giving too much grace. I think it's true. We do, but also the problem is we just have to make sure like we're not going to be caught in the crossfire of a woman's deconstruction.
It's not size right, but whatever. If you want to be able to catch coverts, you need to learn the cycle of narcissistic abuse and know that the first words he say is essential. I think when he opened his mouth, he already on the cycle. That's me. But the shit that he say, like that idolized thing, when these niggas be calling us queen and I respect you and I agree with you, but all that shit. You trying to put me through this motherfucking cycle. They do it even here on TikTok. Learn this cycle if you want to catch the coverts. But the thing is, the covert ain't gonna be able to clock the coverts. Cause one, he lacks self-awareness, but two, he don't want to tell on himself. So there's some coverts on here who are teaching other men how to be more covert. Just saying.
I can believe that. I have listened to enough of them talk for long enough to see exactly what you're saying and a lot of the signs there. Even though I do consider them some of them quote unquote cool people to talk to or whatever. But yeah, I can see exactly what you're saying. I think it's dangerous when women cannot catch it, clock it, and have the conversation for what it is and not like end up praising that man. I think that's when it becomes dangerous.
And I want to be careful and like say like when you say like they may be cool to talk to, like women having autonomy is so fucking important. Like yes, you can talk. Women having autonomy is so fucking important. Like yes, you can talk to them. You can be like you got like it's not like oh you gotta avoid all these motherfuckers of course. But the thing is like still clock the behavior. That's all I'm saying because like shit, we all probably like I literally said the same thing. I know I said the same thing because he stole my idea before he did a fucking video. But here's the thing: I literally said the same thing. Other black women said the same exact thing, and you'll swipe your screen or you might tap the screen. But he said it, and you like oh your screen or you might tap the screen. But he said it, and you like oh let me send that nigga a galaxy. That's a problem. That's the problem. And all that comes from the way we pedalize myth. Even if we think even the thing about decentering we pedalize myth. Even if we think even the thing about decentering is like it's a subconscious thing. It's not always in the forefront of our mind. It's shit like like it's annoying because like you don't want to be that way. We all fucking thrive for male validation. Like, and that's something you're gonna have to if you want to decenter, you're gonna have to like reject that shit for the rest of your life. Because you like that's how you was raised.
For the rest of your
For the
life.
rest of your fucking life. There's no such thing as healed. You're healing. You're never healed.
Mm-hmm. That's why I always say deconstructing is a constant. So every day, if I'm checking myself on that, every day, like sometimes I am going to fall short of that. And not that that's okay, but I'm just saying I look at other women like that too, because I'm like, well, if we're having this conversation, she say something problematic, she's in a different place in her deconstructing. Let me give her a little bit of grace.
Now, here's my thing, right?
I move out of the way.
I cuss women out. Like, I will cuss a woman out. I'm gonna be honest. One, if I think, because like I said, men in itself is a social construct. Being a man is a social construct. And the thing is, a lot of men put men on a pedestal, but they have women who put men on a pedestal. So if you are male centered and you women who put men on a pedestal. So if you are male centered and you come in and you trying to be passive aggressive, trying to sneak this or say some shit, fuck grace. Who the fuck is Grace? I don't know. I don't know no Grace. Cause like, who the fuck you think you talking to? And I think like the problem is like I be wanting to like tell people about themselves. Um, I can't. I don't know, y'all. It's. I'm gonna
No, that
blame.
makes sense.
I'm
People
a.
need to hear
I'm gonna
about
blame it on the
themselves.
tism, like the niggas be blaming it on the tism. But no, you can't. You can't be playing in people's face. Like I'm telling y'all, because I got hurt coming to this fucking app. Like I give women grace. I was giving women all the motherfucking grace, and I got hurt. So
Mm.
fuck grace for real.
No, yeah, I think people deserve to hear about their stuff because and honestly, I don't feel like because a woman is a feminist or a womanist that she, is a perfect human being and she's above being told off or anything like that. I have been in a position where I was giving women too much grace. So I was letting a lot of stuff slide on this app, and I learned like, hey, there's a way to go about it, for sure. But I still do give grace, if that makes sense.
I think the same thing like she just said, like I can clock the behavior, right? Like and similar to anybody. That's why sometimes when I said I approach people as humans, that's really what I mean. The same way how if I say to a guy, hey, I know you say that you are an ally or whatever, but here's what you do that's harmful. And then all of a sudden he gets defensive would be the same thing, I would think, if a woman said she was a feminist and then I said, hey, here's this behavior that you're doing that's harmful, and she gets defensive. I'm gonna look at both of them the same way. I'm gonna be like, okay, so you're just doing this for show. You're trying to get access to a community of people, and you are trying to use women. You're trying to use women too for their intellectual property. You're trying to use women, black women specifically too, for their community. Because you don't actually want to hear from us, right? You just want to be given your badge, just like I said on the Girl Scouts. You want to be given your little feminist badge and you want to run it along your merry way. And then when somebody checks you about something that is problematic in a respectful manner and you start getting defensive, yeah, I think you're a problem too.
Yeah, because part of deconstructing is ego death.
Mm-hmm.
Literally is an ego death, and it's like the reason why the person is so defensive is because they are like their ego is fragile. And the thing is, sometimes you're going to get criticism. Your life experiences have an impact because, like, being a teacher is hard because you could be having a hard, rough motherfucking day. Like you don't want to be there. Shit going crazy. The lesson plan ain't going like it's supposed to. And here come the fucking administrator want to sit down and critique your shit today, motherfucker. And then they're gonna sit here and tell you all the things that you need to get better, and you gotta humble yourself because you want to be
Yeah.
like, no, you want to make an excuse for everything, but like, you know what? Maybe I should have came in later. Maybe I should have took the day off. Like maybe
Mm-hmm.
I this is still something I fuck up in, and the reason why
Yeah.
I'm frustrated is because I'm fucking up in this thing. And
Yeah.
sometimes you need to just table it. You take it, and if you like right now, I'm emotional about it. I'm gonna take it in. But if your first response is like, "No, you're just whatever," like what the fuck? That's a
Mm-hmm.
problem. You are a dangerous person.
Mm-hmm. And that's like that. Yeah, 100%. I think like that's one thing I learned. I was like, a part of this whole thing of equality is exactly that. So me inherently thinking I should trust certain women more than this, or I should do this, or I should give extra, like, is that not necessarily me saying there's no equality? Like, am I trying to right size the scale? So I've checked myself on that, and I feel like I'm still always gonna have a soft spot for women, just because that's just, I don't know. I think I'm working on myself, y'all. I'm working, but I think too, like if we're saying that like people are essentially equal, and that we shouldn't like be extending all this extra grace, then like where does that stop? Like the other day I asked a question. I actually would love to ask it here if you're okay with it. But I actually would love to ask it here if you're okay with it. But I was talking about pick me moms, and I said like, where do you think it starts and stops? Like, where do you think the blame starts with a woman working within the confines of the patriarchy and then her being harmful to another woman as a pick me, right? Like, where does it start and end? Because some women are literally trying to unpack the patriarchy, and some women were deeper into it than others. Like, for example, a woman who was raised, who maybe wasn't raised by a pick me mom and maybe had a great relationship with her mom. And she still has some pick me ways that she's unpacking, but, and maybe had a great relationship with her mom. And she still has some pick me ways that she's unpacking, but the other woman is just way back. She's starting way back. She's not even starting at the start line, right? So where does that, like, how do we begin that conversation or begin to understand when we are trying to be in community with women that, like, you started way further back than I did, right? And
So here's the
maybe,
thing about
yeah,
the pick me mom, right? The reality is we're not pick me's because our mothers, we're pick me's because our fathers. Because I'm gonna tell you the truth. If your mother's a pick me, and we're likely to hate our mothers, it don't matter. Like, we'll resent her for being a pick me, and we'll be the exact opposite. The reason why we become pick me's and the male validation that we see her putting our fathers on a pedestal, even if our fathers are deadbeat, we will idolize what that man is. And like I said, if your father was a deadbeat, it's not that, oh, if my father was here, life would have been better. Your absent father was your father showing up. He was just an absent father. But because his love is so conditional, you are going to contort yourself to get his validation. Even if you say, I don't really care. But your mother, especially if she's there for you and she going, like, regardless, you can count on her, you're going to treat her like shit. Because, like, I can give it all to you. If the prime example, if you have a small child and you take your child to school or daycare, they on their best behavior. Once you go pick that child up, they running around and jumping up and down and, like, what the hell? Is because they feel safe with you.
yeah,
So I would just say that the only thing about that is that the pick meism isn't because of the mothers, and that's when we get fucked up. It's because of the fathers. Remember, it's all because we live in a society where we put men on a pedestal. It's that get us fucked up. It's the male validation that we want.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that even though I never gave my deadbeat father much personally, I think that I had to actually unpack why I was still so hard on my mother. So I think that is true. A lot of women do that, and I think that with the conversation of, like, how do we approach, like, women who've had, like, a different start than we may have had and are further back in their journey, I think that the best way to approach it is that realizing that everyone is deconstructing. Everybody is deconstructing, even if you feel like you're the final boss feminist, right?
not
Like,
final boss.
like, no matter what you think, like, we all have these things that we had to deconstruct from. So understanding that, I think that that may be where to just start. We're all deconstructing. That's a thing.
Yeah.
No, everybody not trying to deconstruct though. That's the thing. Because I feel like for me, I had to I'm gonna just share a little bit. Like, I had to literally forgive my mother. And I know, like, people say forgiveness, like, and even now I'm like, what the fuck? Fuck y'all forgiveness. But the forgiveness was like not me saying that with the things that I went through with my mother was okay. It's me realizing that my mother, who I put on this pedestal, who's supposed to be this image of a mother that media has fed to me, is just a fucking person. She's just a person. She just happened to be my mother. And accept that she has her own story and she gonna make mistakes, right? And I can't have the standards for her because guess what? If I'm having to challenge my son, I can go look that shit up online and that's it. My mother didn't have the internet. She's from a generation. Now, when I have a conversation with her about certain things, I can still set boundaries. Me recognizing who she is a person, if I know that she's going to tear me down for certain things, why would I go to her and talk to her about it? I have to accept that she doesn't have what it takes to have this conversation. And it's unfair for me to expect her to do it just because society tells me that that's the case. No, that's my boundary. That's how I protect myself. And that also means, like, that don't give her access to do things to me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and I think that has a lot to do with it. But the forgiveness for me is to take the parent off the fucking pedestal and realize your parents are just two people who came together and had sex. That was it. There's nothing special about them. They feel special to you because you know them. And a lot of times your view of your parents is through a child lens. You still see them through being a little girl or whatever. So it's like, that's, I think, it's important to talk to your parents when you become an adult. Be more honest about certain things and don't put all these expectations and think, well, my mother should be able to do this, she should be able to do this, and I should be able to talk about this, and this is so unfair. No, because I can't even go to you and talk about all those things. Like, be for real. They'll just like understand who that person is and set your boundaries.
Y'all see how puffy my eyes are?
You've had a night and a day.
Yo, that thing messed me up bad, y'all. And I found a video of like her son with her, and I just lost it. Lost it. Lost it. But yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're right though, Tara. Like when that's why like when I was in this when we were talking about the whole father thing, like when I hear people say things like, you can't do it as good as my dad, like there's a difference, right? Like there were women who were like, my father taught me this, my father taught me this, my father taught me this. But I understand that because he was a good father, that doesn't mean he was a good husband, right? Because he was a good father doesn't mean he was a good friend. So he's still a flawed human being at the end of the day, and emphasis on the human being. Similarly, there was, or not similarly, but the anti of that is that there were some women who were pedestalizing their dads, right? Like, oh, you can't do this as good as my dad, or you can't do that as good as my dad. And then that's when you get into the realm of, aren't you then the reverse of the pick me, or isn't he the reverse of the pick me mom, where like she's competing with her son's girlfriend or her son's wife? Now you're forcing your husband to compete with your father because you're pedestalizing him so much. And like, how problematic is that, especially if you say that you are a feminist? Because the whole idea of you ranking humans and saying you're not as good as this person, you're not as good as that person, is a part of this system we live in, right? And a lot of times men fail to measure up because of this kind of stuff. So like, I don't know, like I was sitting and thinking about it, and then when you came in and said like, hey, like you shouldn't be pedestal, I was there, right? I was like, I don't think you should be pedestalizing a human being. That's always the first thing. Like, you never pedestalize a human being in the first place ever. So it's almost as if somebody did have, the bar is so low, the bar is so much in hell, that when somebody did have a father that was decent, it's like yes, he was the king of my life. Like, just, and you talk to this dude, you're like, you were a regular dad, just like she had a regular mom. And both of them, you just had good parents. But because the bar is so low, when he actually is a good person, it just, they feel the need to propel him and put him all the way up here. But that in itself is just like you just sound like a reverse pick me to me.
I mean, it's just, again, if it's tied to male validation, that's what pick meism is. Like, it's not reverse anything. That's what I say. Like, it literally is what it is. Because like, yeah, it might be competition, but also that allows a woman to give their husband or their partner grace too. Because it's like, oh, my father does that, it's okay. Like, that's just how, whatever. There's a lot of ways that now this man is getting all this grace because you saw your father do something, and that's the epitome of what you think a man is allowed to do or should do. So you don't see it as a red flag or whatever. Therese, you want to say something?
Yeah, I did. Sorry, I had a work call coming through, but yeah, I was just thinking how I was just still stuck on the part that you said about, you mentioned how you had to basically humanize your mother. And I think that that's a thing, like having to humanize her instead of seeing her as this, I guess how society paints women, or and giving her humanization and grace and all the things, just giving her basic human traits and allowing her to have that and say, she's not going to be perfect. I just need to set boundaries. I think that's such an important aspect and such an important view. And I think that's a lot of the reason why we can be harder on mothers, because we see them as this society, what do you call it? I don't know. There's a psychological term for this, but we see her on this pedestal or even if we don't see her on a pedestal, she's supposed to be there. So any mistake that she makes, it's like a harder fall from grace for us. And I'm just still stuck there because it's so real to me. Like I was able to say, hey, the dad is a deadbeat, whatever, forget him, whatever, I don't care about him, and then still seem to have like all these critiques for how my mother raised me, you know.
Yeah,
So
because if you could take your mother off the pedestal, then you can take yourself off of it. And you won't be so critical of yourself. You understand what I'm saying? Like, cause like me accepting that my mother's just a person, shit, I'm just a person. I'm a shitty person too. Let me explain something to you, okay? Cause we talking about children. My child, I am so protective of my child. You understand? I will unalive all you motherfuckers. If it was between my child and each and every one, all y'all, look, you gotta go. Peace out. I need to save my fucking child. For my child, that's amazing. I got a protection on my mom. She ain't fucking playing. I'm safe. But y'all can't fucking stand me. That bitch is crazy. She gonna unalive all of us. You see what I'm saying? So like, we all fucked up. I'm fucked up. We all fucked up. But when you humanize other people and you start seeing them, your parents, you start seeing them as just fucking people, then you can see yourself as a fucking person, and you can stop putting yourself in these unfucking realistic expectations, and then forgive yourself for a lot of things so that you can let go of some of this internalized misogyny. Because what the fuck? I'm a person too. I get the fuck up. Like, I'm a fuck up. And guess what? You tell me I fucked up, all right, bet. I be fucking up. I'm not gonna get defensive about it. Cause shit, I be fucking up. But guess what? Sometimes I fuck up and I don't give a fuck. I'm not trying to be perfect. Like, sometimes I'm gonna fuck up and you gonna call me out for fucking up, and I'm be like, so. Like, for me, that's why I said, like, I don't think the goal is to be a better person. I think the goal is for women to be selfish. To be more selfish. Cause guess what? I'm not out here purposely harming anybody, but for me not trying to put this mask on like I'm this great person, I'm not called that could be more harmful because now I'm sneaking and I'm pretending to be something I'm not. No, I'm gonna be who I am. I'm gonna be loud about it, and then you like call me out for it. I'm like, bet you need to hold your boundary because that's who I am. I don't know how to say it, but that's the way I wanted to fucking say it.
But the thing is that they don't want you to be that at all. Like, what I've realized is like when the time and space that a lot of these men go back to and they want you to be is actually a time and space where women were largely dishonest, and they were complacent. But the thing is that they stroked your ego. So you being honest in this moment and saying, hey, you know what? Like, I'm selfish and I'll be that. If you don't want to be with me, cool. They hate that you're saying that because they don't want your honesty. They don't want your honesty at all. They don't want you to be real. They don't want the authenticity. They want you to stroke their ego while also literally acting against their best interest. Because you think about like the time that a lot of these men will go back to as being the epitome of the moment. These were times when women were having kids on them, left and right? The milkman's baby, mother's baby, father's maybe, all this kind of stuff, like the dishonesty, like you're goaling and epitomizing a time where all that happened is that women played to your ego to stay safe because she had to. Like and you don't want a woman to say, hey, I'm okay with not being a great person. I'm okay with just living my life and doing the best I can and just, having and wanting to have my autonomy by myself. I won't bother you. I'll stay out of your way. I will have my own spaces. You do not have to worry about me. That is the worst thing you can say. And that's what's crazy about it all.
Yeah, and I've learned that like when you saying like it's uncomfortable, I know it's uncomfortable for a lot of people. Like, at first I didn't realize it, but I've learned like through experience. It's like no, some people don't like it. Like a lot of men won't come on my panel because they know I'm gonna call shit out. But there's also women who will not come on my panel because they know I'm gonna call some shit out. Like, and that makes them uncomfortable. I noticed that some women want to be like, well, you should just give women grace because they want to play in my face. They want to play in your face. So like they want to feel safe to go in whatever space they go in. But if you call them out on some shit, that's not a safe space. So I can only go in spaces and talk in spaces where, oh, it's gonna be cool. No. And I think it's fair because shit, you can call me out. Bitch, call me out. I'ma call you out. But that's uncomfortable for people. That's fucking uncomfortable. And you know what? Whatever. Like motherfuckers be talking like, oh, in the comments they say, I don't give a fuck about them comments. Like, why are you fixating on what people think? Like, we have this tendency of giving a fuck what people think about us. Why? Listen, you know how many people in the world? Everybody not gonna like you. Everybody not gonna like you. And I honestly feel like it's good when people don't like you. Like, don't like me. Who the fuck? Because then I have to cater to your fucking feelings. I don't give a fuck what you think about me. Yeah, sweet Paula. And you took the criticism great. I love you for that. Because, like, that's what it is. We share. I tend to be, I tend to be blunt, not because I'm trying to be an asshole, but that, like, if I'm just saying it. And for some people, like, oh, that's so rude or whatever. I've been told that I'm rude since I was in high school. And, like, what? This is who I am. Like, if you don't like it, fine. Don't come to my space, okay? Don't allow me in your space. And that some people got that boundary, and I respect that.
I think that if everyone likes you, you're not standing firmly enough for something.
You're not.
And I,
Usually,
I
like,
honestly, go
go ahead.
ahead.
I'm sorry. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think the lukewarm relationships are the most dangerous. I've always said, like, I'm a polarizing personality, which means that you're gonna love me or hate me, and I think Tara's the same. The lukewarm friendships where it's like, I kind of like her, those are the most dangerous to me. And I feel like when I feel like I have frenemies around me, that's when I get really uncomfortable. Because it's like you can be maybe acquaintances with somebody where y'all have not built a trust level, but there's when you have too many of lukewarm friendships and lukewarm people, where like it's a love to hate, but then also I'm not really going to be honest with you and tell you that you said something problematic, but I mean, like, it's you can't trust it either. And you can test it to where, like, you'll say something and people will be kind of like unnaturally quiet, and you're like, what'd you think about that? I mean, I could see your perspective, but well, no, let's talk, like, pull it out. Let's talk about it. Like, that's when you came up. And like, when I came up, I was like, I like this brainstorm because genuinely I do. Like, I like when you're able to challenge an idea and go back and forth. And it's not like you're offending the person, you're challenging the thought. Right. And I think, like, that's when you know you're having an authentic conversation. But a lot of times, like, people are not person, you're challenging the thought. Right. And I think, like, that's when you know you're having an authentic conversation. But a lot of times, like, people are not able to. I came up on your panel a few times. Like, when I first got on TikTok, I came up and it wasn't like, what happens is that you initially challenge something. It's not disrespectful. The way you first challenge it is like, but do you see this? Do you see that side? Are you sure this? And you're asking probing questions. So I don't see how that would be rude. I can see how it gets rude if somebody meets the questions with defense, like if their response is defensive. That's where I can see how it would get down the line of, like, now we're going to go back and forth at each other because you're offended by my asking you a simple question. So, I don't know.
I think bluntness is often it comes off rude because people feel the need to be defensive, right? So if you're saying something and it gives them no room to wiggle, they're going to be defensive, and that's going to come off as you're the one being rude when you're just standing firmly on what you're saying. I think that I am working on actually being more blunt because I feel like sometimes I come off a little passive aggressive. So for me, I'm like, I actually don't want to come off passive aggressive. I want people to know this is where I firmly stand. So I don't know. I admire people who are blunt, which is why I gravitate towards certain type of people. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, because I think that that's an important quality to have. It's very honest.
Especially if you're in corporate America, though, too, Charisse, like, these things that are qualities, you're literally taught to change them. Like you're taught to change. That's
Yeah.
what I've realized. Like I spent the last decade in corporate America before I had to quit last year. Um, and like there's so many things about my personality that were genuinely qualities that I have changed over time that I'm now trying to get back to. And it's irritating to me. Like me, I never used to do that. That's not natural. That's something I learned over time of literally being indoctrinated into corporate America and like passive aggressive speak and implicatures and all of these ways of communicating that I don't think are ever inherently positive because people don't know where you stand. So like it's the unlearning, even being a young person trying to get a job. Like then somebody's telling you need to start being nicer to people, and then you have to unlearn that you've learned for like however long.
Um, I kind of missed what you said. My modem just reset it. But you said, by the way, what's it? I think people miss the mark with being blunt because they lack of care. That's possible, but like y'all have to understand that sometimes people are not just being blunt because like people have different personality types. Like it just is what it is. So, but we all got weaknesses. So whatever. But I don't think blunt is necessarily lack of care either.
It's
You
not.
just want to talk shit from the comments. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say you just want to talk shit from the comments because like I can be blunt with you and it's showing care, right? Um, and I want other people around me like that too. Like for example, let me throw my shade. Uh, is somebody on here who is like I'm gonna share my skin care routine and literally told people that they don't wash their face and they work in a hospital, one of the dirty places you could be. I want people around me who gonna say, "Bitch, is you crazy? Are you fucking crazy?" Like that's nasty. Like I want people gonna be like, "No, hell no." I don't want you like don't go with my bullshit. Call me out with my bullshit. That shit is fucking nasty.
That's disgusting.
You know how many skin cells you pick up into that? You know when people like when you smell fart, that's because it's going in your mouth and shit. Like no, like that's fucking nasty. They said that shit and people's like, "Oh okay, no."
Wait,
Call me dirty. That's
were
some
they
dirty shit.
were
Huh?
they
No, they wasn't.
okay.
No,
Okay, good.
you would think they was. In their mind, they might be, but no, they wasn't. That shit was nasty.
We need to convene and have a meeting. That's unacceptable.
It's very unacceptable. That's why I say about like my real friends gonna tell me like it is.
That's
I,
nasty as hell.
I want you to be like, Terry, that's some dirty shit. And I'm be like, damn, you know what? Let me go wash my fucking face. What the fuck was I thinking? And then I had the nerve to come online and say that shit in front of people. What are you talking about? Shame the fuck out of me. Are you crazy?
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Oh my god.
Listen,
I 100% agree with that.
I don't believe you. I
The
don't.
people in your circle should be the first ones to be able to say, hell no.
I think you're lying. I don't think nobody said that. That's freaking crazy to me.
listen. I ain't gonna convince you otherwise. I said what I said though.
I'm losing my mind. I can't believe somebody. It's like the conversation that the washing legs conversation. And I feel like if every black person agreed that like you should not have came on the internet and told people you didn't wash your legs, that's similar to that. Like how did you come on the
Friend who
internet?
told me that. And she like, I don't wash my legs. I'm like, do you not know what soap scum is? Like, are you sir? That's nasty. What did you talk about? You should be exfoliating your fucking body on a daily basis. That's nasty.
Mm-mm.
Being comfortable freely talking about being disgusting is fucking crazy. Like, did we not learn anything from the bubonic plague? Like, that shit unalive people.
From COVID, what do you mean? Like,
Damn. Like, what is you talking about? That's fucking nasty. Scrub your don't just wash your legs, scrub them motherfuckers. Like, do you need to grab a microscope and put it on your fucking legs? You see all the nasty shit on there? Like, people be tripping. Like, I'm always gonna wash my face. Especially because you don't wash your face, right? And then you lay on your pillow, you rubbing that shit all into your face. You see what I'm saying? Like it's feces floating in the air. People.
and that's why you get sighs and sores and wonder where it came from. Like, come on now.
Shit nasty. You had no business trying to give some fucking skincare information. The fuck. Just adult. Why y'all bring your asses up here talk your shit? Oh, you ain't got enough followers. Most married women hate and control men. All right, whatever. The fuck. The fuck that's supposed to mean.
It really is just so laughable when they come out with these feelings based facts, and they're always saying that we're the ones that are operating out of our feelings. That is a feeling based fact if I've ever heard one. That is not true. Most married women are too busy being indoctrinated, being controlled by their husbands to bear the upper hand on it. So I I don't even know what half of these men talk about. They sit there and they'll say the most far left, made up BS that they could think of, just showing off their misogyny with absolutely no facts behind it. I'm like,
Sometimes you gotta call these niggas a bitch and keep it moving, because that shit ain't make no damn sense.
and that's what I was like. I was just saying that's why I want to be more blunt because going around is passive aggressive. Just like just
Do you think that's
get the
your
fuck out of
natural
my face.
personality, though, Sharice? Like who you naturally are?
I feel like I am to an extent. Like, okay, I can be that way more so with my friends and my intimate personal relationships. But again, we talked about corporate America. I work in corporate America. So a lot of the times I have to be passive aggressive. And so there's a lot of situations that I handle myself the same way, like online, I will handle myself as I do in corporate America, where there's a lot of code switching going on. There's a lot of passive, I may be more passive aggressive to try to get a message across because I think that's the professional way to handle it. But I'm noticing on in these online spaces, it's just better to be like, okay, like just end it at the start because it goes too far every time.
And I personally believe that the type of work you do does influence you, which is why I was saying how like my being an educator and being critiqued on the spot like that, I had to learn how to humble myself and take criticism.
Yeah.
And like one of the things is like I've always worked with black people, so like code switching I ain't really had to do. And then when it comes to the job security, like I got too much job security. I will crash out on people because like I'm gonna run my mouth and I'm gonna be fine. Like I'm like I've lost jobs because I run my fucking mouth, but I'm like shit, I could just get another one. And that's messy as hell. That's messy as hell, but like that's my experience.
That job security one is a big one. Because for me, I'm always like, I need to keep my job.
Now when I was working in Baltimore City and I had tenure and I was the union rep, man, I was a fucking hot ass mess. Them people could not stand me. Them people, we had the new principal, that motherfucker found a way to put me on administrative leave. He like wanted me out of there. I like, what the fuck is you doing, lady? Like, I was a hot mess. Like, I was real protective of my students, and you not gonna fucking play with me. And what you gonna do? You can't fire me, bitch. Fuck, I know the contract. You can't fire me. What is you talking about? Like, sometimes, man, it don't make no damn sense. It don't make no damn sense.
Honestly. But sometimes I think that's what's necessary is to get into these spaces, and when you get into a place that you've reached some level of like um immunity, utilizing that, right? To help other people. Like to your point, like to protect your students. Like, yeah, you were a mess, but like I'm sure those students will remember you forever. Because my mom
Love
was a
you.
teacher too, and like literally to this day, like as and like literally to this day, like as a grown I'm a grown adult, I have students and people my age who will be like, if it wasn't for your mother, she did not play about us, right? Like she didn't play about us, and it was because, similar to you, she got to a place and then like she just unleashed, right, and became like this tiger mom over all her students.
Yeah, because they treat the children fucked up. One time the principal like the kids can't go outside no more. I'm like, for what? Talking about this was during COVID. I'm like, we can keep them separate. Well, that might be an issue. I had my kids walking around the fucking building. Like we learning right now. We measuring the building. Ain't shit you could do about it. But the shit was stupid. Like it just stupid shit. Like dumbass shit. And it's like you get a lot of because in the education the part that suck. A lot of times the administration end up being men because men move up quickly in places where there's not a lot of them.
Yeah.
And them motherfuckers be ego tripping all the fucking time. It's annoying. Liz down there sleeping lovely. I like Liz love to fall asleep on a panel. Um,
That's
I can only hope that my son gets educators like that. I mean, right now, yeah, because that I think that children are so unprotected, and people think they
yeah,
can say and do whatever to young children, toddlers, young kids.
yeah. When they first started, I would give them a survey. And one time, the little boy was like, one of my jobs is to come to learn and make my teacher happy. I said, your job ain't to make me happy. Like, who cares if I'm happy? What are you talking about? Like,
What?
But I'm
but the
telling
reason why he
you, Tara,
like
that's the
young
team.
kids repeat what the adults
Yes.
tell them.
Yeah.
Like you're not supposed to like learning is supposed to be intrinsic. It's not supposed to be like the reason I say like I'm not trying to seek validation. I think anything I apply to myself, I need to apply to other people. You should be seeking my validation. Who gives a fuck if I'm happy? The hell? That shit crazy. Like the shit that I don't know. I think a lot of people are shitty parents, and I feel like the way we treat kids is fucked up. Like kids deserve more autonomy. The hierarchy, they at the bottom, they all fucked up. They ain't got no rights to nothing, and they got all these broken ass fucking adults
Absolutely.
around them trying to control them.
Absolutely.
And I say it all the time. Most parents are shitty parents. I don't give a fuck. When it comes to children, I'm judgmental as shit. Like I am
Me
judgmental
too.
as a
Why
motherfucker.
wouldn't you think you're a shitty parent though? Like I think you should. Like I think naturally, that's why when they did that study, the self-reported study where black men were like they were
No.
reporting that they were the best parents. That's how I know. I was like, see,
Yeah,
that's how
all that study showed is that these niggas got an overinflated ego.
exactly. Exactly. That's exactly my thought process on it, Tara. I'm like, that it shows me the opposite. It shows me that y'all are not self-critical. And part of being a good parent is being consistently self-critical. I never will say out of my mouth that I'm a good parent. Ever. Like let my adult child tell me that. Let my adult child, and then at that point I'll be like, okay, cool, right? But even then, they might still be telling me that for my ego. They might still be telling me that because they love me so much. So I think if you as a parent, you sit back and you're like, oh, I've reached the pinnacle of parenthood. I'm doing this right. Yeah, no, you're not. I've heard men say and women like parenting is not that hard. I'm like, if you don't think parenting is hard, then yeah, you're not doing it right.
Now I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest though.
That part.
Parents are easy as shit when they get older. Like I put my time in when my child was young, but now that he older,
Well, I have a 4-year-old, so I'm in the hard
I
stage.
Yeah,
know.
mine is 3.
Yeah, we had this conversation 11 years ago. I'll be on your side, but on this side, if you patient enough and you do the things while they're young, it do get easier. Motherfuckers who be talking about the teenager years hard, like I feel for y'all because that's crazy. Like why you trying to be the warden in your own house? But I tell my son, I'm like, this is what I'm telling you right now, but I might be wrong. You might be like, no, shit, I might come back to you like, nah, I was wrong about that. Like, don't trust stuff just because I say it. Like, I'm making mistakes too. Like, that's what I was saying about the pedestal thing. Don't put me on the pedestal. I am a flawed person. I'm trying, but shit, I be tired sometimes. And I be full of shit sometimes. Like, call me out on my shit.
Yeah, I can see that the more they get into, because we're doing all the work in this part right here, like their toddler years, trying to help develop their subconscious, trying to model how we think they should behave, trying to just give them the tools. So I could see by the time they get older, if you've really been giving them the tools for them to kind of operate a little bit easier. But right now in this stage, it is hard, especially working like a full-time job and got all these other things going on. It's like being intentional as a parent, trying to make sure your child is growing up to be a decent human being, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of labor.
Most of it is reparenting yourself and getting the fuck out of the way. Like a lot of like in religious indoctrination teaches us that kids are evil and we supposed to correct that behavior. When reality is we the ones that's fucked up. Like I'm a black woman. This society fucked me up. Like not me coming in and tell you I got all the answers. That's crazy. Like I need to get the fuck out of the way and realize like, oh, you said something that makes sense. Let me check myself and realize, okay, maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But that's part of you reparenting yourself because he's like the kids. Because too many people think like I'll say you're not supposed to hit your children. You shouldn't yell at your children. You shouldn't punish your children. None of them things work. Taking things away from none of that shit works. It's an instant gratification, but it don't fucking work. The reason why we do it is because that's what we learned or whatever. And when I say that to people, they'll be like, "Well, what if your child do this?" I'm like, the problem is you assume that your child want to do bad things. Your child, their survival is tied to you. They want to impress you. Like you see babies start smiling at you because you smiling at them, and they know that gets them attention. Children by default don't want to just do bad things. A lot of times when like if you got a child that lie a lot, it's because you made them lie to be feel safe. Like that's the reality of it. Maybe not you, but like the environment they in, they had to lie to feel safe. Like, so shut the fuck up and listen to what they saying. Like, why you don't be like, damn, don't lie to me. Stop phrasing the question in a way that makes them want to lie. And realize that maybe you fucking scary because you lack emotional regulation. You need to go back to the drawing board and do some reparenting.
Yeah, that's true. Checking the way that you speak to your child on a consistent basis. For me, that has been the thing. Like always making sure that I'm speaking to my child in a way that is, I guess, the best way or whatever. But yeah, I think that we do have to realize that we don't have all the answers, and just trying to give our children autonomy early on and self worth and self identity early on.
Yeah, because a lot of that trying to control your children leads to cognitive decline. Like if you think your
Hmm.
child gonna be stupid, you end up with a stupid child. And the thing is with trying to learn how to talk to your child, it's simple as this. Don't talk to your child in a way you wouldn't fucking talk to your boss. Don't go at your child. If you wouldn't talk to your boss like that, if you will humble yourself in your fucking boss face, then don't fucking talk to your child like that just because ain't nobody around. These motherfuckers talking about yelling and yanking up on kids. So
Hmm.
you know fucking psychopaths harm defenseless animals. Like what the fuck is you talking about? I was on the one guy on here one time. He was an educator. This motherfucker would never put his hands on a fucking student because they will fucking fire him. But he's talking about how you go home, put his hands on the kids because the rules are different. No, bitch, you doing what you think you can get away with, and that's fucking deplorable.
Right. It is, and I've noticed actually too. I've noticed in like seeing other people's children, or just comparing things, just watching people. People who are yelling at their kids, yanking them up, popping them all the time. Their children are developing different type of delays. So it may be how they speak. They may have a stutter, or it may be that how they're potty training. They it may be taking longer to potty train. But I've noticed that. And I think
And
that it's a direct correlation to how they're talking to their child and punishing them.
yeah, so they're putting their child in survival mode. So everything is a hierarchy, right? So the
Mhm.
reason why we have the system that keep repeating over and over again, because like we're conditioned to train out. We break our children for the system. So like we so
Mhm.
afraid that something might happen that we break them. That's the problem, and we break them because we was broken. That's why I say a lot of it is just us getting out of the way and realize, hey, we're fucked
Mhm.
up.
That's what I had to check, because I was like, I don't want my son going to daycare or going to these people's school acting a certain way. But I also I'm not about to whoop him or pop him or do certain things. So I had to check myself on that a lot, of how do I correct this behavior
Yeah, so the thing
and
is,
sit with it.
children don't have the vocabulary. So that behavior is communication. So it's not like, oh, how
Hmm.
do they go to the school and make sure he acting right? No. If my child is acting like this in school, I need to understand what the core issue is. I need to identify what the underlying issue is that my child is going to this environment and acting out this way because he clearly cannot communicate with his voice. So like A lot of times it's like it could be like he like it's a lot of things that going be is going on. That's why it's important for us to pay attention to them and shut the fuck up and listen. Because too many times
Mm-hmm.
people are talking and they're not listening to children. But I'm gonna just say one thing: the yelling. Like I never put my hand on my child. We never did a punishment. But yelling, I had to learn how to not yell. Like I'm not fucking perfect. And like it took me a long time to get to a point where like I wasn't yelling. Even when I thought I wasn't yelling, because my son get overstimulated by noises. So like shit, I got really check my fucking tone. And that was a learning curve for me. And like if he ever said I was too loud, I apologize. Like, dang, my bad, I didn't realize it. Let me lower my voice. Um
Yeah, that's something I have because I don't have an issue with hitting or nothing like that. But sometimes I will raise my voice, and I have been working on that because I'm like, he's only 3, and he speaks well. We communicate well because that's one of my big things. But it's also he's 3, so sometimes he
yeah.
might run off in the middle of the restaurant. And I'm like, get over here, or something like that. So I've had to check myself on that a lot.
Yeah, so when that happens, one thing you want to make sure you apologize and hold yourself accountable. Don't let your child think that's normal. Like, now I was
Hmm.
yelling and I was wrong because that helps them hold you accountable. But if that, and again, it's a core issue. If he's running around at the restaurant, maybe he had too much energy to sit down. He had to do something active, and he involved them in it. Like, hey, running around a restaurant could be dangerous. It could be an issue for the restaurant. How do you think we can resolve this and help them brainstorm it? That's how they build that critical thinking at a young age. Give them options to do that, and don't get in your feelings. Like if he run around the restaurant, maybe you need to get up and take your ass to the market or go home and make something to eat because it's not a good day for him.
Yeah, and I want to be clear too, like what you just said, that a lot of people don't do that because they think that the child is not going to understand. Those children, my son is 3, he understands that. Like if I sit down and have a conversation with him about that, he's going to be able to comprehend to an extent. And all you're doing is building their communication on what they cannot comprehend. And y'all are having a conversation back and forth. You have to give them the language though.
Yeah, is there I remember reading a study about how about the death penalty for like teenagers, and essentially a lot of times they don't get charged with adults because they say, well, cognitively they can't think about the consequences of their actions. And I think honestly, even though that's academically something that we see, that's a societal problem because I think if a child is practicing that skill from a young age and foreseeing the consequences, not of your reaction, but of their own actions to their environment, then they're going to be better able to do that. Because like my son, I was like, oh, be careful. I know to be careful. I wouldn't do this because such and such. He'll fucking go down the line. I'm like, oh, bet you already doing it, great. Because like some of these books got us fucked up. Some of this shit they saying got us fucked up. I don't believe these niggas. Don't I know my child. Y'all niggas lying. No, fuck y'all. But yeah, a lot of it is cognitive decline because they if you give them options when they're younger to recognize their own behaviors and think about what they should do, then and if they're young, of course you help them with a few options. You help them brainstorm it. What happens is that's something they start doing naturally on their own, and then you're not chasing after a fucking teenager hoping that they don't unalive themselves.
Hmm.
I could talk about kids forever, but
No, this
I
is
don't want to talk
excellent
about
advice,
kids.
and I think the good thing is that like you're speaking from a perspective of someone who has a teenager and who's gone through these stages where like right now, and I think Sharice and I are in the same spot. I have a 4-year-old, and like some of the stuff you're saying is literally hitting me for real, because I'm going through trying to figure that out, right? Like what she just said, which is like, she's getting to that stage where you don't want her to be the quote unquote bad behaved kid at school. So you try to be hard on them at home to be like, hey, when you go to school, this. What I have done with her is like I ask her questions, but I think I have an opportunity to um bridge that gap for her and kind of start implementing some of those critical thinking skills, and to have her walk through the solution. So I think like that's because I can see it's starting to get instilled in her of like fear of disappointing me, and I don't want her to feel like that. So I think like this is really timely advice. I know you obviously you didn't plan to give us parenting advice in your topic, but I appreciate it.
I like talking about parenting advice. The only thing is, I don't like talking about, because when I first came to TikTok, that's what I used to talk about. But then I don't like I said, a lot of people are shitty parents and they say shit, and I be like wanting to cuss them out. But here's
Yeah.
the thing, um, the thing about young children, they are surrounded by adults who have mastered skills. So the best thing you could do is, one, you need to have a conversation about what school is and her explain what she thinks she should be doing in certain situations, but also share with her like, oh, when I was your age, I struggled with this, and this is how I got over it. Because then it
I like
normalizes.
that.
Oh, I'm not the bad child. Just okay. I just had to learn something. If you want them to have a growth mindset, they're like, oh, okay, this is a problem, but I can get through it. I can figure it out. And that builds their confidence.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that they say that is true too is that our kids behave differently in front of us because we're their safe space. So a lot of the things that we're seeing in them, like at this age, they're doing because they're comfortable and they're safe at home. When I pick my son up for school, they're not saying he's bad and he's doing this. They're saying, "Oh, he was really good today." So that worry for me, I'm just putting that on him because I'm thinking that when he gets there, that's how he's going to act. But he's actually not acting like that. So
Yeah, that's
I'm
what your
overreacting.
body.
Yeah.
But it happened to all of us, Sharice. Listen, like when they be young, first of all, we check that they breathing because we scared they gonna have SIDS or something.
Oh,
Like we gonna be sleep because of that shit. And then when they get older, you hoping that they can make friends. You have to be like everybody going to isolate them. And like a lot of that is just anxiety. You want to make sure they're gonna be okay.
and that
Yeah.
protection
That's
factor,
okay.
you
We
want
need
to
to calm the fuck
protect your
down.
child.
Yeah.
I said it's that protection factor. You want to protect your child, and you think you're being, and you become like overbearing in a way. Like I barely got any sleep in that newborn phase. Okay, I was up checking my baby.
All the time. All the fucking time. Lord. Like, you wake up hearing babies crying and nobody's crying. But you hear the baby cry,
Phantom
that shit
The
annoying.
phantom baby.
That
Yes.
shit
The
annoying as
phantom
hell.
baby. Oh my
And then
god.
the first time my son rolled off the bed, I felt like a failure. Then he kept falling. I'm like, oh, shit. I love how like now they have the like Montessori at home where they just got the mattress on the fucking floor. That
Yep.
makes too much fucking sense.
That's
Like,
Nova's. Yeah, that's her
but see,
bed.
I didn't do that. I didn't know that. So he fell 2.5 feet off the floor. Like he fell face down, got up. Like shit, shake that shit off.
Tara, I took mine to the hospital.
Oh, that's
He
crazy.
fell off the bed, and I took him to the hospital. I was not playing. I was so shook up.
And we be a hot mess. Like we just be trying to keep the baby alive, and we like that shit be crazy. And I think that's why when you have kids, you constantly worrying. They damn, do they have social skills? Are they gonna be able to make friends? Are you gonna be smart enough? Like it's so much shit. Like man, one thing they don't tell you when you have a kid, that shit change your fucking
It
brain.
does. And you gaslight yourself the
Kid, you
entire time.
good? We knew you was sleeping. You fine.
Oh my god.
Not I clocked it. um, hey Kim Tay, but I think that's why it's important. Like, um, you check the fathers though. Check the fathers though, especially because a lot of times they get jealous. They get jealous when the baby's getting all their attention. Listen, you should be over here helping me with this motherfucker, not worrying about what the fuck I'm doing. But the first sign of jealousy, tell that nigga you ain't gonna fuck him for 5 years. Leave me the fuck alone. Get the hell out of my face. But
Yeah, I
um,
ain't for that jealousy stuff, but listen. I ain't got time for that conversation.
We I mean, I don't know. Like I part of me am like, is this socialized or is it really just like your instincts as a mother? But I think I spent my entire first 2 years of my daughter's life gaslighting myself, honestly. And just like when I say second guessing and just because you felt like because in my dynamic, like it's very much I of course used to pump. I pumped for the first 3 years of her life, but But I did that so things would be split, right? And there was so much of like guilt of, no, you're supposed to be more active. Like, you're supposed to be doing this. Like, you should be doing more. Like, it was gaslighting myself consistently. And it was rough to hold strong and be like, no, you need to require equal partnership in this child's upbringing. You need to, and I had to tell myself that over and over and over again. And I'm still telling myself that, right? And I'm like, is this nature, or am I really this ingrained in what
Well,
patriarchy tells me parenting should be for mom?
what happens is, because the baby grows inside of us, we already bond to the child. Like, we have this strong connection with the children, and this is why paternal leave is so important. Like, the first those, what, 12 weeks or wherever you at, how much time the father gets off. The father should actually be doing skin to skin contact as much as possible, because like that's how they bond with the child. That's the problem with, or if you're gonna say, well, I'm a stay at home mother and he going straight to work, the problem is he never bonded with the child, and that's essential for him to like give a fuck about that child. Um, and that leads you to feel like, oh damn, I'm worried about these things, and he's not, because he's never properly bonded with the child. Like, he should, like, you should just, especially if it's a baby crying, just get up and leave the fucking house. Like, just get up and leave that man with that crying baby. Let him deal with it. With the child being difficult, leave the fucking house, leave your phone in the house, and just dip. Nigga, figure that shit out, because that's how they bond. And a lot of times when we step in, like, because we have already done it, like, oh, let me do this, let me do this, he's not doing it. And it's like, there's no connection there.
That's so real. And that mom guilt though that she was just referring to, it will eat you up. Like, you think that it's the fact that we have to even unpack excuse me, from that to allow them to have that bonding time with their child. You know, it's like leaving the baby there while you just go get your nails done or something. Like, having some type of guilt because your baby's just a newborn baby on the boob and you feel like you're doing something wrong. It's like, that baby is with his father, her father. The baby is fine. And if the baby's not fine, then you should not even be in that relationship no more. You and your baby need to go.
And when I was breastfeeding my son, I was still working. I was working during the day and I had my son at night. His father was working at night and he had him during the day. That was for like the first 3 months, and then I stopped working. But I would go to work and I would pump. I would pump my milk in the evening or whatever. And like when I left, I didn't have to make sure he had anything. His father was sitting there like, okay, let me check and make sure I got enough milk. I got this bag, 1, 2, 3. All right, whatever. All right, good. Like, that's the type of shit you should be doing. I shouldn't be doing that shit, because when I'm gone, like, that's not my responsibility. During your shift, you need to make sure you have the things that you need. You need to make sure you got the diapers, you got the food that he need, whatever, whatever. You shouldn't have to call me for shit. But we all socialize on some level to think all of that's our responsibility. To think that, oh, I'm supposed to do all these things. And because we don't learn that how men are supposed to like properly bond with babies, and then it's this disconnect when they get older, and we like, well, what the fuck is going on? Well, it's just, how else is he connected? How else is he connected? And I'm not saying that's like our sole responsibility. That motherfucker need to step up. But that's a lot of times what's happening. If they're not, because we can love babies, right? Babies are cute. But if I just met your baby, it smell good, ooh, and they start crying, I'm gonna give you your baby back. I'm not connected to your baby that way. Like, I'm gonna give you your baby back. Now, if I have a baby and I'm feeling some type of way, I'm like, oh, the baby. But I'm gonna give you your baby back, because I'm not connected to your child like that to be stressing myself out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's so real. I mean, you can even see it with family members that don't have the same connection to your child as, of course, you do. So yeah, they're gonna pick up your baby and say, "The baby's cute, and I love her." Da, 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 da. Give them right on back.
Yeah. What's up, Kente? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All right.
What you're saying, what you're speaking on is something that I have been just kind of, trying to make space for in my mind and heart. I don't have any kids yet. I've only I decided to wait until after I got married, and so now we're family planning. And I understand that you can't, you know, like some things are just gonna have to come, with life and with experience. But there are things like what you're talking about, that I've been trying to really deconstruct on my own before I get to that point, because I want to be as strengthened as possible, like psychologically and mentally at least, when I have my kids. And you touched on something that was very interesting to me, with the bonding part. What I find interesting is how this idea is pressed into women that we have this intuition that we just know, right? And I'm not speaking for or against. I'm just saying that that's what is said. And then we give men a lot of cop outs when it comes to their participation in the formative years of babies. But we expect women to know, but also we let men off the hook because they weren't quote unquote taught. And I'm like, well, a lot of things women weren't taught, but we don't get that same grace. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, because I can say like I had a experience like that. So like I have seasonal affective disorder. So like during them cold months, like I isolate a little bit, and then sometimes like I could not be there for my son like I needed to be, and his father would come get him. Like and um because and even like with the being like soft and like nurturing, that wasn't me either. Like I'm just trying to talk matter of factly to a 2 year old. Like, what the fuck is you doing? Like, some things I had to learn. Like, I ain't like, and now it may seem like I know a lot because my child's older. But when he was younger, one, I wouldn't take advice from nobody in my family. Fuck y'all. Um, I'm reading studies. I would literally go read longitudinal studies, empirical study. I'm going to read what other people are going through and what works. And some things I just didn't get right. But this idea that just come to you, no, it don't just come to you. Like this shit is stressful. There's a lot to go on. I don't know. I would say at this point in my life, if I go back, I probably wouldn't have had no child. Let me just say that. But when it comes to like family planning, a lot of times we end up being the one on the computer looking up the developmental stages, thinking about the vitamins we should be taking, what doctors we're gonna go to, packing the bag. No, he should be doing those things. Like you're carrying the baby. Like if that man really want that baby, he should be doing all those things. Hey, heal your vitamins and make sure you got your vitamins. Are you okay? I just got to do this appointment. And if he's not doing those things, it's going to show you how you're going to show up when that baby get here.
Right. Absolutely. And it's frustrating to me how um, men get that pass when they're also being told that their role in parenting is equally as important, which is true, right? Like you're the dad, but somehow you think that in order for you to be this good dad, you have to have your hand held and everything needs to be spelled out for you with phonics blocks. But women just gotta know. And if we don't know, we need to figure it out as quickly as possible. We can't make any mistakes lest we're not feminine enough or not woman enough to be able to raise. There's so much ugliness that I've heard around what you're talking about. And it made me for the longest time like not even want to have kids, just so that I would not have to go through that from society or from my family or from people who I thought were friends. Because you know how certain seasons of life bring out certain qualities of people that you may never have experienced or noticed before. You know what I mean? Like you might think you got great friends until they give you awful advice about like what they think you need to be doing with your kids. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Now I will.
There's so much to unpack.
Wait, you don't have any? You said you don't have any kids, Kente?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't.
That's I mean I just think that that's like you have a wonderfully like what is the word? I don't know. I just woke up. Your foresight is incredible. It sounds like because like
Thank you.
I I completely 1,000% went through all this, and I couldn't have even described it as well as you did when I was going through it. um, but you're saying you don't have any kids, and you're able to sort of pinpoint that. But I think that you're absolutely there's a ton of misogyny in this idea of women having just these instincts, because we don't have necessarily have these instincts, but like, and if we don't have them, then we're not as we're bad at being a woman, right? And the fact that this idea is perpetuated that we do have them gives men an excuse to not do anything.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's like we
Yes.
do bond with the baby first. But I remember pushing myself to do the things like to look up certain meals and look up what I should eat or what I should listen to. I pushed myself to do that. I remember how it felt to push myself to do that. So I don't think that everything is just so natural.
Yeah. And I think we all had those times where the baby crying and you are ready to rip your fucking hair out, like you can't take it. But there is this idea that like you're supposed to do it on your own, and like, and I would say like, um if you are considering having a baby, like the nuclear family is not set up to benefit women. If anything, that's the reason why we end up into the situation where we are just doing all the work. And like, if you are deciding to have a child, you need to be realistic about the community you have around you. Like, you should have support around you, like people who you could depend on. And because like it's hard. It's hard when they're younger. I remember when they're younger, it is a lot of work. And every time you think, "Oh, I just got to get through this milestone," the next one is another set of problems. And you got to be patient. You got to be open minded, and you got to be like, and that's a lot on one person. That's a lot to do with one person. Even this idea of, because I was a stay at home mother, that's hard because like, um, you end up like everything revolves around this baby, and then you kind of like you get frustrated because like, well, when is it time for me? When is it gonna be time for me? And that's a lot. So it's like these a lot of the ways that we learn about being a mother in society is like detrimental. It's not to benefit us. It's just so that we can just have fucking babies. And like I said, it's our job to bring children. So if we are tired and frustrated and going through whatever, like we're going to yell, we're going to be the authority figure. We're going to implement rules, and we're going to condition our child to abide by how society wants us to do it, which is a problem. No, you have to have be in a space where you are able to like relax. Like, is it possible that some relatives can stay with you, or you can stay with some relatives? Like, because it's hard when it's just you and that one other person.
Yes, ma'am. And I think about these things a lot. I also think about um, how much women do a disservice to ourselves to like regurgitate a lot of this um, harmful rhetoric around motherhood. And if I had a crisp American dollar for how many times I was told, your life doesn't matter after you have your children. And not that I don't think that they become a priority,
Yeah, but
but
that's some
as
bullshit.
long, huh?
Yeah, you're right. That's some bullshit.
I absolutely think it's bullshit. One, I have done so much work on myself, and I still got a long way to go, of course, but I have done so much work to become the woman I am today, to sharpen my mind, to grow in emotional intelligence, to figure out my passions, and not just, you know, uh, how to make somebody else's dream, come true and make them money, but what skills I can cultivate for myself, like where I fit in the world. Like I've done so much work on myself. I've done so much work to create the type of life that I want and the human experience I want to have, just for me to have some big-headed gremlins baby. And yes, I do. I'm married and I call my husband a big-headed gremlin all the time. Um, And then to all of a sudden start hearing that I don't matter, that's traumatizing to me. That like I I've even told him, because my husband's from Cameroon, and we had this conversation one time where I told him I wouldn't have married him if I didn't think that we were gonna have children. But since I thought I had to come around to the idea of having children. When I first met my husband, I told him I didn't want to have any.
Hold on. Back up.
Mhm.
Your husband convinced you to have children?
No. I did that myself. The reason why I didn't want to have kids is because I did not have my mom growing up, like through my formative years. And even though I had feminine guidance and representation in many other ways, I never had like that love of a mother. And I was confusing that with what I was hearing from people talking about, like, only your mother can do this for you, and only your father can do this, like your biological parents. So I had to like deconstruct that, I had to unpack that for myself. And I was like, I'm not gonna have kids with that, like that complex in my head about not knowing, what a mother gives, because I didn't have that from mine when I was younger. You get what I'm saying?
Um, I hear what you're saying. It's just I
It had nothing to do with my husband, I promise you.
yeah, because I just feel like men don't have no right to ask for kids. But I mean, you grown, whatever. Um, y'all ever seen the documentary Octopus Mom? Anybody ever see that documentary?
Octomom, yeah.
No,
Octomom?
not Octo Mom, Octopus Mom.
Octopus. That
Oh, is it an old
no.
one? No.
Thanks to Reem. It's not Octo Mom, the woman with all the baby. It's a literally. It talks about it. I don't know. That might. I think that's the name of it. And it might be a short documentary on YouTube. I don't know, but it essentially shows you what happened to octopuses when they have babies, right? So the octopus mates, and then he goes off. You'll never see that nigga again. And then she finds somewhere to like be safe and plants herself there. And then she wait for the babies to be born, right? Now, her staying in one space provides safety for her babies, but at the same time, she's starving, right? Not only she's starving, she's unaliving. And when her babies are born, they eat her. And in our society, we are treated like octopus moms. The idea is that we're supposed to sacrifice everything for the baby. And that's detrimental because, like, what the fuck are you? So, why would women want to have babies if you're telling me that the reason I should have a baby and then when a baby gets, I'm supposed to sacrifice myself for that baby? That's fucking crazy. So it's like we need to like redefine that for ourselves and then ask ourselves honestly, right? Because having a baby, again, it changes your brain for the rest of your life. You will never rest because you're always gonna worry about. I don't care how old your child is, you're gonna be worried about them all the time. Really think about, is your idea of having a baby your authentic the choice, or is this part of indoctrination to feel like this is some type of role you're supposed to fill? Because the way society treats it is that you're supposed to sacrifice everything for that baby.
That's probably what I should have said then. Now that you have presented it like this, that's the realization that I came to, that made me realize, okay, like now I can participate in this family planning thing because now I am okay with having babies and I want to have them for my reasons. You said it better, actually, like the latter part of what you were saying. So nobody had any I guess sway in when I would have kids, but for the longest time I was saying I didn't want to, and some of those reasons for were the things that you're talking about right now. How it seems like at the end of the day, people are just looking at us as incubators, like walking incubators. And I hate to think that, you know, it all boils down to, well, you don't actually matter in the end. And I hear this a lot, and a lot of men don't realize they sound like this when they say things like, I'm a good man, when talking about his relationship with his partner. And then his number one reason for such is, I take care of my kids.
So
Well, yeah.
the,
Hmm.
but what I hear what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, it's not that the men think you're an incubator. My question is, and this is something that like I think more women need to sit and process. Do you think you're an incubator? And I think that like if you're not around children, like how do you know you want children? Because a lot of times when we fantasize about the children of our future, we're thinking about it's usually linked to some sitcom, some movie, like something that was fed to us because you're not thinking, okay, what if you have a baby and something goes wrong, right? And what if you like with your baby and they need extra care? Like you're when you idolize the baby, when you think about the baby, like you're when you idolize the baby, when you think about the baby, you're thinking of a baby who would do all these things. It's like certain traits you put on the children. I think that women, in your case, like I think that women who don't have children can like help with some children and really see like all the different temperaments of children, all the personalities of our children, see everything they need. Because too many times we go off of this image that's been implanted in our mind. We think, oh, that's what I'm envisioning. Especially when I hear people say they want multiple children, because like, well, where did that idea come from? And why do you
I
really
think you're
want
right.
children? Huh?
Yeah, no, no, I think you're absolutely right. Especially like spending time around children, because children are scary. They're cute usually, but they're scary. Um, I'm a teacher. I've taught as young as 3 years old. Um, and it is wild to me how bionic I think kids are. I think that like keeping them alive in more ways than just feeding them and stuff for the first lifetime of their lives is a full-time job in itself. And I absolutely agree that we romanticize having kids, and we really push that onto women. So there's a certain level of programming, even when it comes to our desires for having children. I think you're absolutely right, and it is something worth deconstructing.
Yeah, because that's why I say like I never like dreamed of having children. When I was young, so I'm never having kids. And then I got pregnant. It immediately got emotionally attached to this baby. But if it happened now, I would not have no baby. I would not have the baby. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Like I wouldn't fucking do it. But people like you can do what you want. I'm just saying. I think and it's not just to you, it's just like in general. I think it's a more honest conversation we need to have with ourselves. Because and not just be around children, but go around women who have children and ask them about their experiences. Ask them about what they're going through. Not the fairy tale of it, the honest truth. And believe them when they say it. When they say, oh, I'm tired, I don't have no time for myself. I don't get to do the things I used to. I don't like my body don't feel the same. Like listen to what they're saying and recognize what having a child really is.
Yeah. I'll just say this. One time my daughter cried until from 4 a.m. until noon. Cried until from 4 a.m. until noon. She was colicky, but 4 a.m. until noon. 8 hours.
Yeah, I had a newborn that barely slept, and I still, my sleeping pattern has never been the same. I have insomnia real bad. So I'll never get that rest like before I
That's
have.
another thing. I'm pretty sure we all imagine we'll have a baby in that cute little outfit, sleeping peacefully in the bed.
Yes,
I,
that's as I said.
Eight hours is
There's a
crazy, man.
conditioning.
Damn.
There's a conditioning that happens. Of course, babies are cute, but puke is awful. Like, um, babies are amazing. The laugh is like music to my ears, but the burnout is so real. And just say burnout as a teacher. I don't even have to spend and never had to spend, 24 hours with children or multiple children and be the sole person responsible for them. And what I have seen has been crazy. And I'm like, do we know what we're signing up for?
Yeah, maybe you should get 4 hours sleep for 2 weeks and see how you feel. I don't know. Like, I just feel like we're not honest enough about like what life is like with babies. And like you be sitting there like, what the fuck did I get myself into? Now, in a more communal environment where you got like maybe you got a night nurse and you got family who will be there, like get your sleep and rest. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be that difficult. But we don't have that in the West. We got the nuclear
And
family.
honestly, it is still a little difficult, even though you have, even if you do have community. Because I had my son's father, his mother, my mother, his sister, his auntie, like they were taking turns coming over, all the things. Still wasn't getting any sleep. I was breastfeeding. I had low lactate, like I wasn't really breastfeeding, creating milk that well. So I felt like my baby was constantly on my boob, or I was constantly pumping. I felt like my body did not belong to me. So it's still really hard even when you have community. It's just a little bit easier. That's the only way I recommend doing it, honestly, is if you do have community.
Yeah, nursing was extremely difficult for me. I eventually like and like I had one of those lactation counselors, and it even stumped her. Like it was so, and I made it 6 weeks. That's it, 6 weeks, and it was like running several marathons. I like it was, and if I were to do it over again, I would have just formula fed from the beginning because it was so like I don't think the juice was even worth the squeeze because even for those 6 weeks, I think the baby mostly got formula anyways, and I was like doing everything I could to try to produce, you know, what little amounts that I could, and it's like, what is even the point? So I think the culture around pressure to nurse is really freaking toxic too.
Yes. Even the nurses will come in there and pressure you into it and tell you how
Yeah.
good it is for the baby. And Liz, 6 weeks is amazing. I could be, after doing it, I commend a woman for even going a week straight. Like any amount of time you dedicate to breastfeeding is an accomplishment because it is hard work. I did
Yeah.
6 months, but I did 6 months with also alternating formula as well. But I honestly should have gave up way quicker than that because I wasn't able to have like my morning cup of coffee like I wanted to. Like there was so much sacrifice in that 6 months.
And there
Now,
wasn't even really a choice because like I say, I stopped at 6 weeks. Like, I stopped producing milk entirely at 6 weeks. I should say, like it was over. I didn't even
if
really.
you not get enough out, I had um I had a lot of milk, and the only reason I had a lot of milk is because every time I fed my baby, I would have the pump on the other side, like every fucking time, and like the pain, the soreness, and I like. Cause like I said, like I was worried about like when I went to work and if I'm gonna have things and my fucking anxiety or whatever. Like that shit was painful. Like that lanolin cream, I had that shit on my nipples all the time. Like they were sore all the time. Like it was a lot of work to make that goddamn milk.
It was more.
Yeah, breastfeeding is hard.
It was more painful for me than labor. Honestly, that's
Damn,
how
I don't
painful
know
it was.
about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, literally, it was more painful for me than labor, and I think just for whatever reason, like the physics of it worked out in such a way that yeah, more painful for me than labor, and I used to sit there and cry.
And the crazy part is when they young, you be like, damn, I fucked up and I wish I could have did this. And then they get older, you like, oh, they all right. Like,
Yeah,
they all right.
Right.
and we get so
Stressing over every little thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
like my daughter like skipped 2 grades in math, 2 grades, and they're like, oh, you need it for their brain development. Like, you know what? I maybe not because I don't. want my kid to be that much smarter than me at 9. Like, no.
I was that kid, and I'm so glad that I wasn't skipped that far ahead because I already started school early.
So did
That would
she.
have been
So does
crazy.
she. Yeah, but she doesn't go to like physical class with kids who are older. Like she does online.
Yeah, but
I'm glad I
if I
found
could
this
give advice
live.
now, if I could give advice now, I would say don't have them goddamn babies. Go visit the babies and take your ass home.
Go
Stop
be
having all these damn babies.
I mean, birth rates are dropping all over the world, and to be honest, I think part of what you're talking about is part of the reasons. Like, of course, there's things like, cost of living. Babies are expensive, no matter what people say. I understand that. But also, there's this newfound, what I call like self actualization or self awareness of women globally that I don't actually want to be tethered to these men. I don't actually want to, like I have dreams. I have aspirations that I want to fulfill, and I'm going to do that. And all over the world, we're seeing, and even in different cultures where they say like, oh, the women are more conservative and blah blah blah, but those are the women that primarily started these movements, like the 4B movement. It's like they don't want to have no kids. They don't want to have no relationships. They really want to just be left alone and live their lives and focus on themselves. So, yeah,
Have you had a period? Have you had like a long period in your adult years where you were single and not looking and just single?
who me?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, like how you would say long. I think the longest I've been single was just maybe like 3 years or so. But I was a slow dater, I guess. Like it would take me a long time. Like I would say on average, I would be talking to somebody for like 3 or 4 months before I even went on the first date. And then like a lot of times it didn't go anywhere because I felt like I had enough.
Now, I wasn't extra so you can tell all your business. I'm saying like, because that's what it is. It takes for you to have like um time when you're single and you're not dating and you just spending time to yourself. Like to the point where like I think in a lot of ways it make it harder to get in a relationship because you start like enjoying your own company and your freedom and your autonomy, and it makes it hard to get in a relationship. Um, but the reality is like also it's like once you have children, children do change the dynamic of a relationship also. Like there's a lot of things you could do to be precaution, like to be cautious and everything. But the reality is like um a lot sometimes it's not working out for women. It's not just because women are doing something wrong either. That's all I'm saying. Like I don't know.
right.
It's, um also like I don't know where you at, but I wouldn't. If I was to have a baby, I wouldn't have it in the U.S. That's for damn sure. I would go somewhere where they can give me some money or something. I wouldn't have that baby for real.
No, I live overseas right now. Actually, I live in China right now. I've been out here for like it's been 6 years now,
Is your husband
altogether.
Asian?
No, no, ma'am, no, ma'am. He is from Cameroon. He's African.
Oh, you said that earlier.
No, ma'am. He is from Cameroon. He's African.
Oh, you said that earlier. I don't trust him
Yeah,
then. That's your husband, so good luck.
you just gotta. Well, you don't got to do nothing. I even say this all the time. Like I don't. I used to say this actually. I would look at him and be like, "Why do you even like me?" Because the way y'all like I know I'm not making it easy for nobody to be with me. Oh, and then to respond to something you just said just now, I do think that it's important to know how to be by yourself. I think that for the average person, they don't know how to be themselves and they're not comfortable sitting in silence and being in their own heads. But I've been this way since I was a kid. I'm very sociable. I like being around people. I'm an empath also. So I can give and draw energy from people. And I know
You know,
that
being an empath is
sometimes
actually, being an empath is actually a trauma response. Um, because what happens is you have to be in tune with your caregiver so that like it's a safety thing. So I know we like glorify being an empath, but being an empath literally is a trauma response. It's something you had to do
I
with
just
your brother to like be safe. It's not necessarily a
I
good thing either.
I get that. I just don't draw the line there. I think that um I naturally just it's important to me to be able to understand my emotions and to feel the full range of emotions that I'm able to feel. And I don't like when people um police my emotions. I'm like, I could do that. But at the same time, without trying, I can glean the emotions of others. So it's not something that like I've been told. Well, I'll keep it short. Like I get what you're saying. I do think that's a major thing. I honestly couldn't tell you how I fit into that, but I do think there's a little bit more to it. Um,
Are
yeah.
you familiar with like fawning? Because fawning is real. A lot of black women have deal with fawning.
What do you mean? I don't think I
So it's
understand the.
like
What do you mean? I don't think I
so it's
understand the
like
word that you're
so
saying.
it's just flight, freeze, and fawn. And fawn is essentially like the people pleasing we tend to do as a because like being like that's it's all tied in with the whole empath thing. It's like the idea that um I need to be into like if I have a adult who when they come in yelling, I know I'm like they might put their hands on me. So I'm gonna be real in tune to like the way they open the door. I'm gonna be in tune to
Mm-hmm.
how they're breathing because like that's tied to my survival, not your literal survival, but like in the moment, like am I safe
Right.
today? So that's where that comes
Right.
from. So the fawning is a response. So you tend to people please.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I want to feel safe, and I think you're upset. So now I'm going to say things so that you don't see me as a threat, so that I'm safer.
I understand. I don't think that's me. I'm the furthest thing from a people pleaser. If anything, I'm just throwing myself into the fire a lot of times because of my own emotion. Um, I frequently tell people there's nothing easy about me. Um,
Now,
and I
let me
don't
ask you a
mean
question though. Why did you tell your husband that? Why did you say you don't know why he likes you though?
because they so him being from Cameroon, they have like a perspective of Black American women. Um and a lot of it is informed by social media, not just like I scoff at it. I think it's dumb. And I would ask him, I'm like, y'all have a lot of their, their more traditional beliefs and how they view women in general, with the submissive stuff, and then even how women are brought up in his country to not like contradict men too much in what they want. What the man kind of says goes, and you kind of really have to tiptoe around his ego. Um, and I was very clear when we first met that I'm not doing none of that.
Have you
And
ever
he
been to
stayed
the? Have you
around.
ever been to the Cameroon?
You say, have I ever been?
Mm-hmm.
No, I was supposed to go
Yeah,
this
because
summer.
a lot of times when we think, oh, from the outside, those how those women operate, I guarantee you, um, it's a lot of Cameroon women who don't play with their men and their boyfriends.
Oh, of course, of course. I just was asking him because but it's exactly that reason why I was
That's
like, well,
but that's
I
also
know it's
triangulation. Is what I'm saying. If that's what he's saying,
from
like
what?
that's a way. That's him triangulating too. If he's telling you, oh, the
Yes,
women in
yes, in a
Cameroon
way,
are like
yes.
this, like that's him. That's manipulation tactic.
Yeah, I would just tell them like it don't work with me. And I would be very blunt, and like the slightest things that I would say whenever we had a disagreement, it was all of a sudden an insult. When I would say something is stupid instead of he is stupid, he would hear that and be like, "Oh, now you're insulting me." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. Grow up." I don't like what you are doing. I'm not saying I don't like you. Like things like that that can be like very easily manipulated, you know what I'm saying? And I just was like, that don't work on me. So yeah, like, and the way that I'm very harsh sometimes with my words when I feel like I've been as nice as I can be and it's not working. So I got to give you a message that I know you will understand, even though I know you're not gonna like me saying it, and I will do that, and I just feel like it is what it is, and yeah. So I would ask him a lot of times like, you could deal with this or not from someone from your country, from someone from your culture that
Yeah, I
understands
don't
your
like
way of
the
looking
I
at
don't
the
like
world a
the
little better.
framing Cameroonian women a certain way because like that becomes harmful because it's like essentially like they'll use that as a tactic to control your behavior and also like I think if you're in a marriage with a man, he should always think that he's not good enough for you. Like your husband should never think he's good enough for you. Whenever that man think he's good enough for you is a problem. Like he like the I don't know. That's just the way I see it. The fact that he using that triangulation shows me that like he probably like I mean before you even say anything, that man probably ain't shit and don't deserve the life that you gonna give him. Um, but I think it's fucked up because
No, this is before. This is
no,
before.
no,
It
no, no,
doesn't
no, no,
happen
no. Listen
anymore.
what I'm saying. I don't give a before after he trash. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, I said
Oh,
anybody
okay.
husband who come up here, that nigga trash. Oh, we was talking about that. Like your daddy
Let's
trash, your father trash, your uncle trash, your husband trash. All them niggas
listen.
trash.
I'm not opposed to that messaging because a lot of times it's true. So I'm not one of those people where I'm like, well, mine, everything is perfect, and everybody else got. I'm not about to do that. You good?
Alexis, did you want to come up? Anybody else want to say something?
And you can't be married. Was that for me? Uh oh.
Look, you didn't read the prompt in the background? What's up, Alexis?
Hey, how are you?
Oh.
What's going on? I'm good.
Hmm. So I think it's really funny. I think it's so funny because I literally got into this discussion yesterday with it wasn't on here with you. It was someone else. But they were hosting and we were like talking about like women being serious about the patriarchy and stuff. And I was like, look, I'm just gonna keep it a G. I really kind of feel I'm starting to feel some type of way about the ones that are married that are still like to me it's not about if you happily married or whatever, right? It's about the fact that how can you fight patriarchy when marriage is literally rooted in patriarchy? So if my whole stance is I don't believe in marriage because it's rooted in patriarchy, and I'm telling people don't get married. I literally told my mom a few weeks ago when she told me, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I finally decided that I'm gonna get you the stepdad that you always wanted because you've been nagging me about it for years." I turned that whole shit around. I said, "No, never mind. Don't worry about it.
Not
Don't
you
let
changing your mind. That's crazy.
yeah." Like literally, I literally told her. I said, "Don't let the
Yeah, you
wolves in the
been
house."
you been hassling that woman, then you change your mind. That's wild.
I know it is why I owned it to her, and I really did own it to her because literally I have been asking. I mean, my parents were married or whatever, right? And then they got divorced when I was in my early 20s. But my daddy, he wasn't shit. But the point is like I fed the reason why I hounded her for so long is because I didn't have the knowledge now that back then. So I had this whole pipe dream about, oh, the perfect man exists, and I really want a stepdad, and look at the Brady Bunch type shit, and ooh, look at Family Matters, and all these TV families, and the Cosby Show. Remember how we all used to love the Cosby Show? Cosby Dad, right? So I fed all that. I ate that shit up, right? So I was always in my mom's ear, like, after she was like, for years, right? My mom was like, nah, I don't want no man. I just want to do me. I just want to be single. So I was pushing down her throat. So yeah, like I owned it. And I was like, nah, don't even worry about it because all this shit that I know now, don't even worry about it. Actually, I'm on the same accord as you. So it's like, how can I tell women don't get married? I don't believe in marriage. Marriage is rooted in patriarchy. And then turn around and then like not like kiki haha with you, but like I can't I can only deal with you to a certain extent, right? Like it doesn't make any sense for you to join in on like my group, right? And you are like, "Oh, like I have like a great marriage." It's not about your marriage being great or your marriage being bad. You're married. You are property. Legally, you are property. So if it's real, right? Because it's supposed to be allegedly about the commitment, right? If it's real, get divorced. So that's what I said yesterday to the group. Because this is a real thing. I'm not tripping. Now y'all can say it's tripping, it's cool. I take it. I'm not tripping. This is a real thing. This is a real thing. People have been doing this shit for years. And first when I heard it, I was like, that's kind of weird. But now I understand now why they was doing it. They were like the stress and the strain of keeping up this box, this facade of being married is too much. People literally get divorced and stay in the same household because it's about the commitment. Now, if y'all are really real, right, then it will feel different, of course, because you don't have that strain, that title under you. But it's supposed to relieve you of that strenuous title of checking on those boxes or whatever, right? Even if you work in the partnership or the teamship, you still know that subconsciously you are still checking boxes. Subconsciously, look, we are still trying to, and that's even if you are actively deconstructing that you are even not checking these boxes, but you are subconsciously checking these boxes. So you lose the title, you're not checking off these boxes. If y'all really real, get divorced and then like split everything 50-50. There'll be no actual like court to go to unless y'all have kids together because it's mutual. But I guarantee you, if you go to your husband, you say, yeah, you explain all this to him, he gonna say, nah, man, you can miss me with it. Because to him, he knows subconsciously he's with you for this piece of paper for you to be tied to him for these benefits. Because if it's really about the commitment, then he wouldn't be tripping. If it's really about the commitment for you and it's real, you wouldn't be tripping. But you know that the only thing that's keeping y'all together is the fact that you say we're legally tied together. So then it's not real. So then if it's not real, how the fuck can you deconstruct patriarchy with me? That's just what I'm saying. So, I mean, people felt some type of way. There was their feelings yesterday, whatever. They're like, maybe you need to go unpack that. Where it was like, no, I don't feel like there's something to unpack. I stand on it. Like, it's all love. Like, I love y'all, whatever. Like, it's no shade. I just think that right now I kind of believe in factions at this point because I think there needs to be a faction where there's married women who want to stay married, regardless if their marriage is good or not. To me, that's not even where my contingent is. That want to stay married and they deconstruct the patriarchy whatever way they see fit. And then there's the group of women who are the whole 4B movement or whatever. And then the group of women who they're 2B or whatever. So I believe in factions right now. I mean, as long as we're still moving all towards the bottom line of the common goal of it all like crashing down, like I'm Gucci with it. But for me, I'm just like, okay, like I don't really move in that space like that because I don't believe in that. So I feel like I'm fake being around you, and then I don't believe in that. Like that's weird to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I really said I was trying to be more open minded because like one thing I stopped telling women not to get married because I'm really like that's another thing. Like people can do what they want. Also I've been married before or whatever, but I don't think you can deconstruct in a marriage. Been married before or whatever, but I don't think you can deconstruct in a marriage. I think because you have to rationalize, because I think in deconstructing and seeing like men as a whole and like understanding their experiences and expecting it, you have to accept that your partner has done some very problematic things and is going to cause a rift in your relationship. Because you got to have some honest conversation. And just because you're ready to change something doesn't mean that your partner is. And I think like deconstructing, you grow as a person. And I think that in a lot of ways that your partner that you're already with, you're not going to be compatible with them after deconstructing. At least you wouldn't know. But because the marriage, you have this commitment to it, that cognitive dissonance is going to kick in. You're going to keep rationalizing like, oh, but my partner does this, is okay, whatever. And it's like, I think it'll be very difficult. Like, I don't think it's possible to decenter men in a relationship because of how men and women are conditioned. Like when it comes to emotional labor that we do and the whole losing our identity, like that's going to happen. And if you're being honest about centering yourself, now how can you do that? How can you then decenter in an environment that was created before you even did that? And then it's like, oh, is your partner going to be 100% honest when you're switching up and now they're afraid that you may leave them? And we know when people get anxious, they get more clingy, they become more manipulative. That causes issues. I don't think it's possible.
So I have a question. What if a woman did that after the work? Like she's already decentering men, dismantling, and doing that
So I'm not.
now?
I think partner is a means of control, and that romantic love isn't an actual thing, and then we're not supposed to have lifelong partners. Like I say, I don't think monogamy is a thing. I don't think that that we should essentially be tied to one person. I think that we meet a lot of different people through life. This idea that we have to be with somebody is problematic. Also, we understand that in these relationships, women end up losing their identities. You give up your name. You end up losing your friends and your family. You don't know why. It's because like men are conditioned to pull you away from that because they feel insecure about it. Um, I don't think it's possible, period. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm single for life. Like I'm not looking to be in a relationship. I love being like I don't think I could be in a relationship at this point. Um if I was to be in a relationship, is that shit gonna be I would be like on some predatory shit. I ain't even gonna put myself in that position. Um and I just don't think it's possible. I think that like the part I was saying this the other day, I think one of the problems that I think a lot of women struggle with in the deconstruction community is coming into terms with their dream life that they envision for themselves isn't actually real. That the unicorn don't exist. So a lot of times we like, okay, I think me and Vonda was having that conversation. This idea that like, oh, I did all the work, I worked through all the things. Now I'm just going to be able to get a relationship with a partner that's going to be better. But the problem we're having with men is systematic. It's not because you chose a bad man. It's a systematic problem. So how you gonna like heal from? It's like you heal from one abusive relationship, and you like, okay, I'm healthy enough to get in another one. It don't make sense.
Yeah, I totally agree,
Hi, Liz.
specifically with the monogamy part. I think that monogamy is something that I have been working on a lot to unpack of why I'm so connected to it because I do think that that is like a important systemic structure in how women are kept confined. Um, and I'm not married or anything like that. I just think that women can do both. So I'm trying to just navigate how they can because again, like I said earlier, I feel like a lot of women who want to dismantle from the patriarchy, feminism is a paradox, and a lot of us who are trying to deconstruct, we have these things that we're still holding on to either way. So none of us are perfect. So I feel like a married woman trying to do it, trying to dismantle is just that's her thing. That's her vice, I guess. That's her hold on patriarchy. But I don't believe that she cannot do it. But I
Now I'm
get
talking
what you're
about
saying too.
so you think a woman who's in a marriage, knowing the power dynamics that exist in a marriage, knowing all the subtle things that we aren't able to pick up on, that woman is going to be able to decenter that man and center herself fully. Not that the relationship started with that, but a relationship that was already established. You think that's possible?
If it's already established and you start deconstructing, no, I don't think it's possible. I think that the aftermath of you deconstructing in a marriage is divorce. But I think that if you are already that woman, you already came into the marriage deconstructing, then I think that yeah.
So this is my question. If you deconstruct first and then get into a marriage, how would it look different?
Because I would think that maybe your husband is a feminist or considers himself a feminist as well
No,
or something like that.
deconstruction is about you. It's not about your partner. How would it be different? Because if it's dependent on another person, that's where you fuck up. Because now you're saying that your experience is based on your partner, knowing that we know that men like to cosplay more progressive views to get with women. So how would a woman move or navigate in a relationship if she's fully deconstructed?
So that's my thing. I don't know that we ever can fully deconstruct. So I guess that's what I'm stuck on. Like, I don't expect her to be fully deconstructed. I think that she's going to deconstruct. We're going to be deconstructing for the rest of our lives in this generation. We're doing the work. Maybe the next generation can be fully deconstructed. You know, we can pray, hope, whatever you do. But so I guess my hang up is that I don't know that any of us are fully deconstructed.
And see how notice the answer you gave me. I'm asking you how would it look, and instead of answering the answer, instead of you explaining how it would look, you went to say, well, maybe we don't fully deconstruct. Now you're compromising on deconstruction. That's why I say it's not
Right.
possible. Because again, marriage is an institution that was implemented by patriarchy to control women. Like that's the basis
Yeah,
for
for
me. That's
sure.
why marriage was invented. So you just because you deconstruct, don't mean you gonna be able to get married, and then you're fighting. You're not fighting against your relationship or your partner. You're fighting against a whole system in place. We see people come out of cults and go into other cults. People with addictions reach sobriety and may pick up another addiction to something else or relapse. This idea that like, oh, I get to a certain point and then like I'm good in a relationship, and this idea that like the learning process is just linear. No, we also regress. So I think if you're answering a question by not explaining how it look, but instead say, well, maybe we don't fully deconstruct, then you know that you cannot fully deconstruct inside of a relationship that is rooted in patriarchy.
Yeah, I don't think that I know exactly how that looks because I don't have a relationship that's like that. I don't have a relationship that I would like model as this is how a perfect relationship looks, or this is, and I'm also not married. So you're right. I don't know how that looks. I'm just coming from a point of view of saying that I know women who are married and are deconstructing. So I think that is something that can be done. It can be a desire. It can be a want.
But it also
I
stunts
guess
your
I'm trying
development.
to.
But it also stunts your journey. That's the reality of it. It is only a certain point you can go to. Because, like I was saying earlier, your husband is going to be your closest relative. That's going to be the person closest to you. You're going to compromise for them. And the difference between like a friend and a partner is that the compromise we do for men, it requires us to give something.
Yeah, that's true. Um, that's true. I'm trying to give pushback on it, but I'm trying to figure to find my footing. So, but I understand all that you're saying. I think that it's definitely difficult. It's definitely difficult. It's definitely a delay there. There's definitely yeah, you're not going to be doing it in the same manner that women who are not married are able to do, and then you're also still holding up this oppressive system.
So I want to be clear. I'm not saying that it's going to delay it. I'm saying it's not possible and that you will regress. That you will go back into those old habits is what I'm saying. Now you can disagree with me. If you think about something later, we can talk about it. But I think you will eventually regress. Because what happens is when women lose themselves in relationships, it's not because they want to lose themselves in a relationship. It happens gradually over time because you still live in a patriarchal society. You're still going to be picking it up subconsciously through media, through conversation, through your subconscious thoughts. You're still going to be compromising. You're still going to be walking on eggshells because you don't want your partner to go off. You don't want your partner to leave. You want to make sure you're good. You're going to go into that role. That's what ends up happening. The most progressive relationships you could think about over time, somehow they still find themselves fall into those gender roles. And the thing is, we have to be honest with ourselves. Now, if you still want marriage, again, that's your autonomy. You can have marriage. But the reality is, like, that's when you're choosing one or the other. You can't have both. That man is conditioned to the entitlement. You're going to end up coddling him. It's gonna be ways that you're gonna compromise. Like it's just happens. You're gonna think, oh, it's not because I'm trying to be in a submissive role. I just want to make my husband happy. But you know what? That's the expectation. That's the habit. You're going to go back into it. And I think what I'm saying is nobody's saying you gotta choose. You like you can't do it. You get to choose. But the reality is like we have to be honest about it. I think the thing is we don't want to be honest about that part. And some women, even through the deconstruction, that programming is so ingrained they still want to pursue it. They still want to pursue it. And I think that part of the deconstruction process, you realize that hold up, this image of this family in my mind, where did it come from? Oh, it came from the shows I was watching. It came from the books I was reading. It came from the messages I would receive. This is not something I actually lived. This is this glorified destination in my mind I ultimately wanted to get to. And in my work and realizing some things, I've learned some things, but I want to go back to that. That's my safe space. And I think it's hard for us to be honest about that. That's all I'm
That
saying.
you're absolutely right. And I'm thinking it over as I'm trying to rebuttal or have the conversation with you of why I think that way, or and what I'm coming up with is that I think that there is
Hey,
a
Ease.
man for that. And that is the unpacking that I have to do, because I think I'm sitting here like I'm sure that she could find a partner that, can do this with her or be on that journey with her if she is strong enough in her journey. And that's really where I've landed. And I don't think that that's right. I'm saying that now, but I'm just thinking it over, and I'm like, I think I know that that's where that's coming from.
And our ego gotta be big as hell to think we can go into a system and we gonna be like untouched. Well, we already been broken by the system. I don't know. Alexis, you want to say something else before East go?
I mean, to me, this is how I equate it. You can't fight human exploitation and still be a capitalist. So
Yeah,
that's just how I look at it.
yeah. A lot of people say they don't want to participate in capitalism, but shit, it's some stuff you want to buy.
But see, then again, we have to survive.
Yeah, but do you have to get married to survive?
No.
That's a very important difference. You don't have to get married to survive though. And we have to understand that a lot of the women that came before us got married because they were forced to. Those women were forced to get married. But they romanticize it like, oh, I want that. I'm pretty sure if you go back enough generations, it's a woman who fought her ass off not to be in that. Well, let's do this. It was a young girl who did not want that. But after over time, over a couple generations, now they say that's the dream. What's up, East? Where the hell you been at?
Hey y'all, hey Tara. This the summer semester is whooping my ass. And y'all be live at nighttime. I'm so glad you live in the daytime so I could join.
Yeah, there's some weird shit today.
It's been weird shit today?
I said rare, very rare.
I know. I'm like, why she not live in the daytime? I could at least come up in the daytime a little
I
bit.
be progressive. I be getting work done during the day. I be productive. I meant.
Exactly.
But
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
log in to a certain time.
Can you be married and still want to dismantle patriarchy? I think you can be married and still want to, but I think that if you are wanting to dismantle patriarchy and then also wanting, like, seeking to be married, I think that that's contradictive. Like if you already married to the man and then you just wake up to like, oh, you know what, this is actually not that great for women and this is really harmful, and based off of my experience with my husband and what I've been going through, I want to dismantle this for the younger women seeking this. Then yeah, you can be married and and be able to dismantle patriarchy. That's what I think. But if you already want to dismantle it and you still trying to find you a husband, is like, but you already know the harm, so what are you doing that for? And you already know the numbers, you already know the labor that you're about to put in, you already know all of these things and how it harms women, so like what are you doing? Does
When
that
I
make
when
sense?
I yeah, no, because I'm gonna be honest. When I hear a woman say, "Oh, I can still get married," I feel like she believed men when they told her she just needed to pick better. Because it was never
Exactly.
that it's not that you picked wrong. It's like you didn't do anything wrong. Like
Exactly.
that's how like the way your relationship went, that's the way it's supposed to go. It's a like them. You know what I'm talking about. When you see that burger from McDonald's on TV, that shit look immaculate. It's pretty, right? You go to the
Hmm.
fucking McDonald's drive-through and get that. That shit look like they stomped on that bitch 5 times before they threw it in your fucking window. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And then when you eat that trash, you like this shit good. You convincing yourself that this bullshit is that shit ain't got no fucking seasoning on it. That plain ass lettuce, fucking ketchup, mayonnaise, and baby onions, and you convince yourself this shit delicious. Mayonnaise and baby onions, and you convince yourself this shit delicious. Let's be for real.
And then they still like, I still want the burger though because everybody else got the burger. No,
You be
no, but
craving that burger. You be craving that burger. You could go have steak. You be
no, but
craving that burger. You be craving that burger. You could go have steak. You can make your own burger. Put all your seasons and everything. You craving that nasty ass fucking burger because it's easy.
mm-hmm. Sometimes when they be like, oh well, I can still. Whenever women like get up here and they try to like, are they're like the decenter men girls and stuff like that, and they're kind of, how they'll be like, well, don't. There's still some men out there that can love you, and there's still some men that will, it's all they try to like all men, but not my man, and it's like, no, you're a man too, though. No, but you're a man too, though, sis. Like, let's not do that. Like, it's not all men except for your man or your dad or your son. Like, throw them in the pile with the rest of them. This one dude, and you know what? This one dude, he clocked me so bad when I was like, all men ain't shit, all men ain't shit, and he was like, no, I was like, all men ain't trash. All men are trash. And he was like, oh, so what about your son? I was like, well, no, my son is different. He was like, no, 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 throw him in the pile with throw him in the garbage with the rest of us. And I was like, you know
No,
what?
no, no. And I'm gonna say why I wouldn't say now. Trash is a lot because he's a child.
And that's what I told him. I was like, my son's not a man. He's just a child. He's just a baby. All men are trash. But eventually, he will grow up, and be socialized by other men, and it's going to be his decision whether he wants to be in the trash pile with the rest of them. And unfortunately, It's so easier to fall into that privilege, especially being that he is going to be a black man and he won't have that much privilege. So I do believe that eventually, like, he'll lean into the little bit of privilege that he does have. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like that, he's going to be misogynistic. Like,
Yeah,
like that's gonna. But the thing is, and I was saying this earlier. Like, I think when like one of the responsibilities for me having a son is like, I like my son need to know, hey, you are misogynistic, so that like to like check some shit or somebody call you out. It is what it is, or like you gonna be doing some misogynistic shit. I wish you wasn't. I wish you was this perfect child, but like that's ridiculous. If I have internalized misogyny and I'm raising you, you fucking misogynist.
exactly. The best that I could hope is that he just doesn't. He's not out actively like hurting women. You know what I mean? But he may think that he's smarter than a woman just because he's a man. He may think that he may think that his voice is more important than a woman's. But that's just gonna come with like socializing. That's really isn't much that we could do about that. But at least just don't be like these motherfucking super demons out here. just, just
I
doing
think
whatever.
it's hard to see a child in their light when they still a child. To be fair, Eve. Like, I can say my child's misogynistic, but going to the far end, wait till he get an adult, and then we get that conversation. But I'm not about to call my child trash, and I'm still like, no, it's still they're still a child. That's the fucking problem. It's y'all motherfuckers like they're still a child. Okay, when they get adulthood, we can revisit this conversation. But don't be calling no fucking kid, nigga. What the fuck wrong with you?
Exactly.
That's just how I feel about that. But yeah, I think I might run this again and change it the word a little bit because that one, two of y'all to mention the one thing like, but I brought this up because like, I be forgetting that people marry in their relationships, y'all. Um, because I love being single, and I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? But anyways, what I'm saying is, I hear husband even part of this conversation. Why are we talking about your husband? Who the fuck care about him? Like when people start mentioning their husbands, I be like, bring that nigga to the panel. I want to talk to him. So I can show you how fucked up that nigga is too. What you talking about your husband? That's crazy.
Exactly. Or when they be bringing up their dads, I'll be like, girl,
You know I've been
okay.
on a campaign to tell everybody that daddies ain't shit. I've been
Hello.
telling everybody your daddy ain't shit. I love it. And they be like, well, what about your daddy? Girl, he ain't shit either. What you talking about?
Exactly. You know how many times that nigga cheated on my mama? The fuck out of here.
No, it's like no, nobody get an exception, and I don't like. I one thing that I fucking can't stand the some men, most men, not all. No, it's all men, y'all. Like it's like I don't know how many times we gotta say this shit, and it's not because it's all men until it's no men. No, 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 no. It's all men because man is a fucking social construct. Man is a social construct. So it's all men, meaning all men who identify with being a man and all those who are male centered. We all on the spectrum of being male centered. And the reason why I say this is because social conditioning is so fucking detrimental. There's so much we've learned in like let's say the last 5 years about our society. Can you imagine how much shit we don't even realize yet? So no, none of you niggas get a pass. What did you talk about? We still studying. We on patriarchy 101. We literally in the first class. So like no, let me get into a doctorate level, and then you maybe, and even then no, fuck you. You see what I'm saying? Like no, we just learning some shit. Some of y'all don't even know what fucking patriarchy mean, and you want to be one of the good ones. No, nigga, all of y'all. All of y'all. And your daddy. Fuck that nigga. That's all I'm just saying. You too, Black Dad. You was on some bullshit early in the comments. I'm gonna just say that. I'm talking to you too, Black Dad. You too, nigga. Talking about you could. What the fuck you talking about? Not so when you come say that shit on the pad. Y'all like the tappity shit saying in the comments don't count. If you mean on something, stand on it, come on the panel, let that shit critiqued. I'm just saying. Y'all niggas like to be safe in the fucking comments. Just saying. All right, what you talking about,
What up? Good
Tori?
morning.
Hey.
Good morning. I'm talking about I didn't realize how privileged I was to be a man, until really honestly until very much recently. I used to think, especially hearing it through other men that, women have it easy and men have it so hard and our life is such a struggle, and I just believed it because I heard it more and more and more. But being in a lot of these spaces and actually learning and listening, I realized like I haven't gone through and probably won't go through a quarter or a fraction of the shit that y'all go through on just a every living day basis, just trying to live a normal life, going to the store, just trying to get into the workplace, just trying to be a normal human being. And I didn't realize any of that until I started listening to a lot of these conversations, and it opened my eyes, and I was like, damn, like I
So tell
really
us
don't have shit that hard compared to going
so
through on
tell
a
us
regular
about some of
basis.
these privilege. Tell us about some of this privilege you recognize. Like give us a quick list.
So a quick list as far as even working, I'm in the business world, so men automatically look at me over a woman, and she could be more qualified or the same qualified, whatever it is, but because I'm a man, they're automatically gonna, pick me first.
No. But when you say don't just talk about what other people do, talk about stuff you take advantage of.
I'm taking advantage of the same thing.
Like what?
In the workplace, I've taken advantage of knowing that, okay, I'll get this over her because I'm a man and they're gonna choose me. That's definitely something I've taken advantage of.
Go ahead, go through all of them. Talk about in relationships and like women who like in and around you. Like how have you like your male privilege? How have you used it in a way that's harm women? Can you be honest about that?
How about using it in a way to harm women?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me think. Let me think real quick.
No, that's just what come
Probably
out.
a certain authority.
How so?
Forcing myself to be a leader because I have more that I can how do you say it, more resources. So, okay, the last relationship I was in, and I didn't realize this until after I was out, how she felt inside of it. But there was a time where after she finished like her clinicals and stuff where she couldn't really work or do anything. And I was privileged where I was in a position where I was working, I could make money, so I was taking care of everything. And I didn't realize the effect that it was having on her, and kind of how she was suffering until after she told me. Something that she told me was, she told me that even though everything was taken care of, she told me it made her feel like she was nothing. That's what she told me. She told me that she wasn't raised to be that way. She was raised to be strong and to take care of stuff and be able to fend for herself, but that made her feel like less, because she said it made her feel like she didn't have anything to offer.
Now, the only thing I'm gonna say about that one is like it's still not like I want this. What I'm saying, and it is whatever. Not enough men will admit the sinister shit they doing, the insidious shit they doing, the fact that they know they getting over. Like a lot of times it's like what somebody else is doing or this was the effect of something, but not too many of y'all want to admit in real time. I knew I was doing this. I knew I was manipulating. I knew I was lying. I knew I was doing this, and this is the result of it. Y'all, that's what I'm saying. Like that, because when it comes to like deconstruction, a lot of times the women are deconstructing these spaces and the men just there. You know what I'm saying? Because like in real time, can you recognize it? Earlier, I was pointing out how like I think my son would think I'm a great mother because said I would unalive all you motherfuckers for him, but that means I'm a deplorable person. Like in a lot of ways, like can I be honest about the harm I cause to other people? Right? Like, but when it comes to y'all say it without saying it is what I'm saying. And it's like I hear a lot of, oh, we know what y'all going through. We hear the things or whatever. So if that's the case, then you should have a better idea how you took advantage of a woman.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I got somebody in my mind now.
I'm just saying. Um, I don't trust none of y'all niggas. You already know that. But I'm just saying, like, it's just interesting how like men can't be fully honest about it. Like, you hear men say, "Oh, I used to be like I'm working on this. I did some stuff fucked up in the past," but they won't say what they're doing right now. They won't say how they still are entitled. Still won't say how they expect to be coddled by women. They still won't talk about how the labor they take advantage of. They still won't talk about how they manipulate people. They still won't talk about like at the end of the day, I still think I'm better than that woman. Like those are the things we need to hear men saying, and it's like those are the things that men refuse to say. And that's part of the reason why I'm saying like women can't be in community with y'all and actually deconstruct because y'all don't want to admit that about yourselves because it's not a good look. Not a good look.
Hello?
Oh no, it's fine. I like awkward silence. Sometimes it's necessary.
Okay, I thought my life froze.
Been here the whole time. But you want to respond? You want to say something?
Oh, no, not really. I think, but I do think that when you do hear when they are willing to be honest and open about it, um, it's definitely some sick shit. So I do know that for a fact. I've heard a couple of men come up and be honest, and I'm like, yeah. And I know they all have some stories in they chamber, so I mean, it is what it is.
I will say this though, when you ask like, well, what are we supposed to have basically like in lieu of marriage, right? You know, marriage has only been around for only a few centuries. There were commitment ceremonies that were done that our ancestors participated in before the idea of marriage, because marriage comes from the bourgeoisies and from in imperialism, capitalism, in the monarchies. So I think that it would be I think we should revisit what our ancestors did before marriage and incorporate that in something that's new age as a commitment ceremony. But this traditional marriage or this idea of just marriage itself, it's not good.
So the commitment ceremony, what did that mean?
Like people, there are people who not that. Hold on, sorry.
No, it's fine. Because um, now I'll wait for you to come back. Uh, yeah, free is always the image. Black Dad ain't exposing shit. Black Dad, like he like to be safe. You safe in the comments, Black Dad, but we all side eyeing you.
Okay, sorry, my kids just woke up and the power went out this morning
That's a
right before.
problem. That's another sign of eternal misogyny. Fuck us. The fuck the kids need to be tended to.
I know. The power went out. I don't know what it is about this block. This is a nice neighborhood, but like the block just every few months the power just randomly like goes out. But oh yeah, you were saying the commitment ceremony, right?
Yeah, what's the
So
purpose of it?
the purpose is it I guess what I'm trying to do is trying to give people a space to I guess feel like they're one with the person. So I guess I'm trying to like DEI it basically, just trying to create a space where people feel like, oh, like you're my person, but not in a traditional way that we think of. I guess more like, oh, you're the person I choose to go into partnership with. But it's not like
And how is that
it's
productive for
it's
women?
not anything legally binding,
But how
is
is
what
that
I'm saying.
for the spiritual marriage?
From
But
the
but how is that productive for women?
I I don't know. I was just trying to find a replacement for them. I'm good, but I understand where people are coming from though. Like I don't I'm trying to be neutral with it because I feel like if I dive all the way in, then I feel like I'm going to be biased with it. So I'm trying to I get what people are saying that they feel like they need something to replace it. But I'm saying if people found something to replace it with, then it shouldn't be anything that legally binds you to someone
I'm
or
listening to
something
you.
that ties you for life. Like maybe you do
So,
like
well, we have those, right? Because you talk about the spiritual marriages, right?
yeah, I guess
With
like
the,
spiritual
well,
marriages.
with the spiritual marriage in modern day time looks a lot like a fucking marriage. So that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of times we'll be like, well, the ancestors did this or whatever, and like that don't mean like patriarchy's been around for a long time.
It has been around for a
And
long
it's
time,
like,
yes.
how does it benefit a woman, right? Because the way I see patriarchy is hierarchy, and hierarchy is how we got into this mess, right? How
Right.
does it benefit a woman to, instead of being fully immersed and committed to a community, must then like go through some ceremony to be tethered to one person? How does that benefit her?
Well, what if she was the head? Well, that's still creating
That's still
hierarchy.
patriarchy. Like, even if
Yeah.
the woman was the head, that also is damaging. No, what I'm saying is not for anybody to be the head, because that's how we got in this shit in the first place. What I'm saying is we need to be more communal as people and understand that we share this planet with other people. It ain't just about us and our fucking ego. So what I'm saying is, like, that commitment ceremony you're talking about, these spiritual marriages they like to talk about, women still get fucked over.
Do they? I thought that would
Yeah,
be better.
I
What you
think
mean?
absolutely because they're still in this committed relationship where these things are expected of them. The only difference is the legality of it. It's literally the same exact thing.
Well, I don't know then. I is did you think the better question would be, do you think there should be a replacement?
That's what.
Or
Why do we think it should be a replacement? And what I'm saying, part of like us challenging the system is just seeing like we have to understand as human beings we have been domesticated. We have been domesticated over fucking centuries. And we've been domesticated by people who wanted to control society in a way that they were able to keep control. So they created this binary, right? They created this binary and these rules that we have to live by. And our schema is so fucking narrow, we can't see outside of it. So it's like, no, we don't. If I'm an alcoholic and I stop drinking and I fucking substitute it with sugar, that's still a problem. Sometimes we don't need to supplement. We need to see how like these boxes we put ourselves into limits us. Because why do I need to be tied to just one person? There's so many people out here. There's so many people out here. I personally like to meet new people. Being around the same person all the time, is being my person, puts too much pressure on them, puts too much pressure on me. Like after a while, you get sick of each other. It can get toxic. Why do I just have to be tied to one person? If there's so many people in fucking society, who is that for?
I guess, so I mean, I don't believe that humans, no matter what their gender is monogamous, but I mean, there are people who are deconstructing that I travel in the same spaces as that they do believe that. Do you think it's just because they need to deconstruct some more, or do you think?
So here's the thing: it's not about what anybody think. Deconstruction is your own process. Where instead of I'm
Yeah.
saying that person need to deconstruct more, the question is, why does it need to be supplemented?
I think that the root of that often is that people want companionship. So how they go about it is what is being brought into questioning. And I don't necessarily believe that it has to be marriage or monogamy, although both systems are things that I'm deconstructing personally from. I don't think that it has to be any of that. But I think the companionship that people are so connected to and want is the issue here. Is what people are trying to supplement.
So do we only have companionship in this like this tied to one person, this bond to one person? Is that the only way we can experience companionship?
Absolutely not. I think that we experience it in so many different ways with our friends, um, in relationships, even if they do become intimate. But I don't think that monogamy has to be the answer for that. But I think that's where a lot of people struggle because they're like, okay, I want companionship, and for me, this is what it means to not be lonely. That
And
I
it's
need a partner here.
and this is the problem. Like, just think about TikTok. And this is gonna sound ridiculous, but I want to tell y'all what this sound like, right? We have the luxury of like talking to many different people from different places in the world, from different backgrounds to get like more information, right? What if what if it was like, oh, you need to commit to one person, one space, and you can only be in that space. And if you get caught in another space, it's considered cheating. How often would you want to? How long would it take for you to get tired of that one space?
I give it for me about 2 weeks tops.
You're gonna want to divide. You want to want the diversity. You want to meet new people. Does that mean you don't care about the people in that space? No. Yeah, I do believe that within community we have micro communities within a community, because like you can't get along with everybody. But this idea that it has to be just one person is a problem. If you had only one friend, that is a problem. You're putting too much pressure on one person. You have two expectations for that one person. And Sequoia, yeah, the ownership becomes a thing. Because like now you want to control this person and you want them to do certain things because you want it to look a certain way. But the reality is like this idea to be tethered to one person is the problem in itself. And I believe looking outside of the box is realizing that companionship can look a lot of different ways, and it can happen with multiple different people. Because when your person unalives, then you have nobody. Then you gotta go look for someone else. But if you have a community, when somebody in a group unalives, you have the rest of the group for there for comfort. Why do we think
Well,
it only has to be one other person? Who the fuck decided that, and why do we internalize it?
I think it probably started out as someone who was really insecure, and then it just became an echo where they just kind of forced it down everyone else's throats. But I do see. I always used to be jealous of people. I used to envy people that were able to stay in really long, committed relationships because even when I was married, I was only married for 2 years and I filed for divorce papers on our second year anniversary. That was done, done, done. And it's like, anniversary, that was done, done, done. And it's like, for me, I don't know. I'm trying to look at it in a neutral lens because I like having alone time. I like having alone time. I like finding companionship in different things. And I know that when I tell people that, usually the answer that follows up is, well, yeah, but if I get a dog or an animal or if I go do this, it's not the same. And I'm just like, well, yeah, but that's the whole point. I think we're so socially conditioned to limit ourselves to just this box. So when people think of companionship, they only ever think about, oh, well, I'll just get an animal or I'll just like go find like another person to like get in a romantic relationship with. I don't think society intentionally or purposely gives us the tool belt to have a large range of different companionship styles and what it looks like in different formats. So then people find themselves in these limiting positions, and then when they get challenged to go outside of that, it's foreign to them. So I think that's where the problem lies with people just not knowing, and it's not introduced, it's not normalized. When people do something that's out of the quote unquote standard, then they get slurred or they become villainized for it. And I don't think enough of us really ever took a look and be like, well, why are like we're saying that about that person? And the only thing they're doing is just something different. They're not doing anything heinous or insidious. So um, yeah, that's where I land with that.
And I understand with it, and I understand why that's the case. Like I think for a lot of people, it sounds nice to meet like a person that y'all so compatible that like that it would be enough, right? But I was with my ex-husband for 14 years, and let me tell you, you grow also. You grow as a person. What's up, Dex? You grow as a person and you change. And sometimes, for me, the person I was compatible with at 17 was not the same person I was not compatible with by the time I was 33. I just wasn't. Life changed. And it's like the reality is we have to understand that we are trying to force things. Because we may be afraid of it. I get it. But then we feel like it's a failure, right? Or it didn't work out. Maybe it wasn't supposed to work out. It's okay to have a balance and understand that some people want to move in and out. Some people you'll be there with long term, and that's fine. And that we shouldn't put too much on one person. And that's why community is so beneficial. But we're so conditioned to think that we need just one person. And then we have all these problems with cheating. Like, oh, you're cheating. You're doing all it. Because, like, at the end of the day, people are curious. People, you want to meet other people. You want to spend time around other people. You eat the same chicken sandwich too fucking long. You can't stand fucking chicken sandwiches no more. It get old. It get boring. You no longer can stand each other. And when you say you feel jealous of these, do you know people who've been in relationships for long term? They can't stand each other. Yeah, they have a deep love for each other. Don't get me wrong, but like they usually don't want to spend time around each other all the time. They talk shit about each other. Like, and for a lot of women in those long term relationships, they've completely lost their identity. They no longer have an identity for themselves. Now all they have is essentially like it's like they have whatever he had. We had a woman come up here the other day tell us that her hobby is cleaning the house. She like, I like to clean the house and take care of my husband. What the fuck? That's crazy.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. I didn't know how they did that. I didn't know that if you just sat with these people without even trying to pry, without even trying to dig, and then you just see the cracks. And it wasn't honestly until probably my late 20s, because I'm 36. So it probably wasn't until my late 20s that I was like, man, like all these couples, like they look so good. And I've had friends that they were like, quote unquote, the perfect couple. Ooh, y'all look a beautiful black couple. Then you find out 3 years later, well, what happened? But what? And you find out 3 years later, well, what happened? But what happened? I don't understand. Y'all was Jada and Will. What happened? Ooh,
And who the fuck want to be Jada and Will? Nobody want to be Jada or Will. Like, who the fuck want to be Jada and Will? Nobody want to be Jada or Will. Like, that's because we idolize it. We be like, oh, relationship goals. And then them people go home, they live in a lie. And then when you validate their relationship like that, it just makes them feel bad because, like, they know they live in a lie. They know, like, they argue all the time. This person don't come home. This person abusive. Like, how many times do we look at you might see a couple out, they look nice or whatever. You don't know what the fuck going on behind closed doors. You have no idea. And we be like, that's goals. Because we have this like image. Because when you used to watch Family Matters, at the end of every episode, shit always worked out. It was that shit we hear, don't go to bed angry. Well, that nigga just gave me an STI. I'm mad. I'm gonna be mad for a while.
yeah, you right. Or find out he cheated on you. You just find out right before you go to bed. What the fuck?
How about they be angry? Then you better not go to sleep. That'll hurt you. Fuck you talking about? Like, a lot of the stuff we've been spoon fed or we like has been just like stuff we just naturally says like it's bullshit. And I think it's interesting because when it comes to like the romanticization, the kids of today, the reason why we seeing this new generation come up and they like fuck having kids, fuck getting married, they not idolizing that shit like we did. You know why? Because they didn't watch the same shows like we are. We all watch this. We all watch TGIF every fucking week. We watch the same shit. They don't. They on all these corners of the internet. They not being indoctrinated the same way. These kids like, what the fuck you talking about getting married? It's just different. And it's like I was watching. I decided to watch the Truman Show with my son, and there's one scene when he's see the marriage picture and it wasn't official because she was crossing her fingers, and somebody promised to cross her finger, cancel it out. He didn't know what the fuck that meant, but I knew what it meant. Everybody who was part of my generation knew what the fuck that meant. Because that was the message they sent us. Oh, you cross your fingers, don't count. So let me see your fingers. Make sure. What the fuck? You say you doing something, you doing it. What the fuck about some dumbass crossing fingers? But that's the shit. Like, we all picked it up because they was like, oh, write that shit in the script. That shit eat. Put that shit in the script. And because some fucking weirdo wrote some shit in a fucking script, now we all fucking confused about what the fuck reality is.
Damn, you right though. It's all that script writing. But it's like I'm telling you, all these documentaries is what that ended the game for me right there. Because just like for me, it started on behind the music. And then when I realized that being a celebrity was bullshit, oh y'all doing all of that behind closed doors. So then it was just like your heroes just like started crumbling before your eyes. And that to me like was the beginning of the realization that it's all just unicorns and rainbows. It's all bullshit. It's all just an image to make it just look pretty. I didn't realize everything was a lie. Like, and they tell you that in movies all the time too. They're like, "Oh, everything's a lie. Your whole system's a lie." And then you even realize that legit, that shit rings true. Everything is a lie. Like, I don't. I'm glad that I'm not crazy though, because I kind of felt crazy my whole life because I always kind of felt like I couldn't get on the same accord as everybody else because I'm just like, well, yeah, but I don't know. I guess it just didn't work out. Like you said, relationships fell. You're like, man, yeah, you were so great, whatever, whatever. Shit doesn't work out, whatever, whatever. I guess I just wasn't one of people. But then just like to find out, like, oh, I actually have like a lot more peace, like alone. And then just to find out, like, what are you actually chasing though? Like, what are you chasing though? Are you chasing people? Are you chasing something in people? Or are you chasing fulfillment in yourself? So I had to ask those questions for me to start my deconstruction because I mean I've never been a pick me, but I definitely
No, we all been pick me's. No, that we all pick me's.
wasn't I mean,
I used to say that shit. Listen to me. I used to say that shit. Listen to me. We all pick me's.
pick me. I need male validation.
Yeah,
And they
you
used to go,
listen. You can push yourself on the other end of the spectrum. I'm sorry to break it to you to have to be the one to tell you. You're a pick me.
I accept it. I'm a pick
You
me. Yeah.
women saying that I'm not like other women who are pick me's is some pick me shit.
Is it really?
Yeah. What do
I'm,
pick do?
I'm
Pick me's compare themselves to other women and say that they're better than other women. Because just now when you said, well, I was thinking this and it made me different, how do you know that a lot of other people wasn't having that same thought, but because we assimilate and because we comply and we don't speak out about things, because we fear how people respond to it, a lot of people are not going to be open and honest about it. So everybody in the room can have the same fucking reservation, but nobody willing to say anything. They're thinking, oh, this is just me, I'm different. But everybody in the room thinking they different. So the reality is, and I'm going to tell you this, because this took me some unpacking, because I'm like, I ain't never, no. We all pick me's. It's not that we used to be pick me's. We still pick me's. We trying to get further down the spectrum, but we always going to be pick me's. That shit in us. All right, Sharice.
I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it hurt my feelings too, but I like to be honest with myself.
But you can't grow if you're not honest, though. And look, I own it because when I started hearing about like, oh, everybody's got isms, I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't got isms. I'm good. I othered myself, and obviously I still struggle with that. But it's like when
And the
I
truth
really
is, you got all the isms.
I
You
got
got
all
all
the
of them.
isms. I got all the. I'm not anti-black. What are you talking about? Bye, Felicia.
All that shit apply.
All that shit apply. Yeah. No, you're right.
It hurts your feelings, but then it's freeing. It's freeing to me to admit, like, damn, I'm a fucking pick me. Because you know what made me realize I was a pick me too? Because I kept hearing women who sounded like pick me say they wasn't pick me. So I'm like, hold up, what the fuck? Who the fuck is a pick me? And I'm like, oh, damn. We all some fucking pick me. We all want fucking male validation at the end of the day. And I be trying to reject that
So
shit.
real.
If a man give me a compliment, I be fighting that shit. Like, shut the fuck up, nigga. Don't give me no compliment. I can't stand that shit. But at the end of the day, like we still pick me's. We got all the isms. We got all the phobias. We all that shit. We all the fucking problem. We like to point the finger and say we better than everybody else, but we all the fucking problem.
That's when it registered for me, Tara, seeing like I would see a woman who I'm like, I think she's doing really well in her deconstructing process and all these things, and maybe held her to a high esteem with it. And then I'll see her do some pick me stuff. And I'm like, oh, I guess it really is just in all of us. Like I can't expect this woman to not want that male validation, not want those ties. I mean, it just hit me then.
Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you what. If anybody who said he not a pick me, go go like how would I say it? I don't know if you got to go past and think about yourself when you was younger, but even the person you are today, in 5 years from now, you ain't gonna be able to stand that bitch. I'm telling you, you're gonna be like, I can't stand her. Like she was so thirsty or some shit like that. You know what I'm talking about? Like we can't even stand out a previous version of ourselves. So like if we growing, then it's some shit I can't clock right now about myself. I'm gonna be able to clock in the future, and I'm be like, really, really, you was on that bullshit. That shit annoying. It's annoying, but it's like, don't get me wrong. Some people problematic, but I was also thinking about this. I'll say, damn, this woman problematic as shit. And then I find out she's 22. Well, shit, let me put her 22 to my 22 and see me run my fucking mouth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good way to check yourself, especially with younger women.
Now, I still might cuss her out. I'm a work in progress. No, I ain't working on that. I might still cuss her out. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of that should be us being upset with ourselves because, like, I used to be really bad at the fawn and shit I was talking about earlier, the people pleasing. Like, I really had to work through that shit. Like, I was scared to say no to a motherfucker, but now I can't stand a people pleasing motherfucker, and it's because like a lot of this internalized misogyny, it be our internal struggle with ourselves. All right, y'all. I'm gonna let y'all go. We've been here for a while today. I'm gonna wrap this shit up. But thank y'all for coming up here.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure seeing your prompts.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Help me get through this work morning, girl.
Yeah, when y'all see this prompt again, I'm gonna word it a little different, and hopefully, I know morning lives are different. If y'all see me later, hopefully that shit gonna be messy, cause now I got all these feelings bottled up. I need to get this shit out, take it out on somebody, and that shit toxic too. But I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit. The fuck.
You'll take all the smoke for this prompt.
How you gonna pay for this shit? I need to sleep tonight. The fuck. All right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later.
Bye. Good morning.